guys. We're gonna talk to the FSL people here. Who's playing?
Hello, my name is Little Reaper, and I play Protoss, and I've gotten Platinum 1.
Nice.
Hey, I'm Chien Pone. I play Protoss, and I am Gold 3. Well, I've achieved Gold 3.
Nice.
Hey, what's up?
Tell me your name, game name, your ranking, what race you play.
I'm Dominic. I'm Deepu. I play everything, and I'm Plat 1, I think. Yeah.
Nice.
Hello, I'm Ethan. I go by ET. I play Terran. I'm like Silver 2. So
Nice. Zerg.
Hyped.
Right.
Hyper Turtle, Platinum Random.
Nice. Tell me your game name, your race, and what level are you?
War Bunnies, I'm a Protoss, and Low Diamond.
Nice.
I am Fenrir. I am a Silver 1 player. I don't know my MMR. I'm a Terran.
Nice. Okay, so tell me your name.
Instability.
And what race you play in your ranking.
I'm in Diamond 2 with Protoss, but tonight I'll probably be playing Zerg.
Beautiful.
Hey, I'm Neutrophil. I play random, and I'm High Diamond.
Nice. And
I'm Chien Pone.
oh yeah, we saw you already. There you
Yeah.
go. And this is ET's gonna be casting.
Howdy.
All right, and that guy is Caliber. He'll be playing later too. And that's our FSL group. We'll see you guys in a bit.
Sarah, what have you done?
Kerrigan, the die is cast. This is the last day. Your swarm darkens the sky of any planet.
Forget Minsk. Forget all of it. When we are done here, I will return to my people and accept their judgment.
Command, we've found Kerrigan. She's holed up in a Zerg base.
I made my peace long ago. Consider it done. For ire. Indeed.
What's up, guys? I'm back. It's FSL again. I'm with me is ET. Let's bring him in. I think his mic is a little muted. Let's make sure that he's on here. 1 second, guys. All right, we're live. What's up, ET? How's it going?
It's going pretty good. How are you doing?
Great. So, first time back since the Storm Cup, right? We had the FSL there. Tell us, what'd you think of it?
You know, I think it was really good. It went very well. I think everyone, all the FSL folks, really had a blast, which was obviously the #1 goal. And then it was really cool. After the 4v4, I went to go make sure everything was ready for the 2v2 that was happening, and all the pros and everyone were just sitting in the seats watching it happen, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yes.
They were all very entertained by it as well. So I think it went off without a hitch, really.
Yeah, and not only did they like watching it, they wanted to play, right?
That's true. Yeah, it was. They were all like super hyped about the idea of playing in the 2v2s. Unfortunately, we can only fit the one in, but hopefully next time we can do a little bit more. fit some more pros and Joes in there.
Yeah, that's good. So you guys took a long trip, right? Was it worth it? Because you got to cast the pro games too.
Yeah, I'd say it was definitely worth it. It was obviously it was definitely a more painful trip than the last couple I've been to because those were more in like the Fairfax area, which is only like 3 or 4 hours, which really just
Yeah,
feels like
yeah.
a quick jaunt across the park.
Yep.
So having to drive 7 hours is definitely quite a ways, but it
It's-
was absolutely worth it. It was
That's
such a
right.
good event. So
Yeah, for us it was about 3-4 hour drive, and we'll probably have more events there soon. But we do want to have another one in the Virginia area, so that'll be a less painful drive for you. So I'm already in some preliminary talks for that. So we'll see what happens there. All right,
Awesome.
so that's the FSL. So for those that missed it, watch the VOD. I think let me see if I can link the VOD on chat if you guys want to watch it. We got the recording just in case it gets deleted from Twitch, because you never know, right?
Yep, very
So
true.
that's there. That's just the FSL segment, because remember, Storm Cup is a pro tournament, so we didn't we just kind of squeezed in the FSL side of that. So I think that's a successful venture there, as you said. But anyway, tonight, what do we got, ET?
We got a whole bunch of good games coming up. We got a 2v2 and then a Code A and a Code S match. Some particularly exciting ones. Little Reaper and the Archaic. I think always a fun match to see as they both are willing to pull out some aggressive and strange builds at times.
Yeah.
And then Ghost Chant versus JMPZ. JMPZ has been doing better and better, it feels like, a little bit throughout.
Yeah.
So we'll see how he does today. Will that improvement continue and maybe even get him, I think, his first win? So an exciting prospect there as well.
Yeah. And we have a 2v2, which I think you know really well, right?
Oh yeah. It's we got Polaris versus Cyan Kitty. So a Kitty Cat Gamer and Cyan. Father-daughter pair, which is cool to see. Playing against Polaris, which is obviously instability from the Code S, and then Taiga, I think is what he's rebranding to lately,
Oh,
or
new
Caliber
name.
C.
Taiga is like
Yeah,
a
I think
rapper.
yeah, a little bit. So yeah, Caliber C, I think is
Yeah.
the official name, but
Yep.
his first season in the FSL, just jumping right into the 2v2, so should be a fun match there as well.
Great. And you know what? I think our players, the first match, Code A, the players are ready. Let's bring him in for an interview. And so that'll be Little Reaper and the Archaic. And let's bring him in. Their voice. There you go. You hear the sound of the Discord join. This is the Archaic and Little Reaper. What's up, guys?
Hello.
Go ahead, ET. You want to grill these kids?
Yeah, and a really quick, of course, I think looking at it, we still have a couple map selections that need to be done by y'all, so you can get those taken care of at your leisure. But yeah, like I was saying, a match we've seen before, no stranger to this 1v1. I think the Archaic has tended to take the lead in previous series, but Little Reaper, how are you feeling going into this? Do you feel kind of revitalized and energized by the Storm Cup?
Yeah, and I also feel really scared.
Really scared? That makes
Yeah.
sense. So, I mean, the Archaic, obviously a very tough opponent in the Code A, about as tough as you could get. Do you have a couple tricks up your sleeve for him this time around? Perfect. All right, and the Archaic, obviously, a bit of a beast in the Code A. How are you feeling about tonight?
Rusty. I did practice a bit today, but overall, not as much.
That makes sense, absolutely. So, like we said, Little Reaper, of course, was able to get some practice in at the Systrom Cup and maybe a little bit more warmed up. Do you think that might give him the edge he needs, or do you feel like he'll be able to take it down?
Not entirely sure, to be honest. I do like. I mean, yeah, I'm not sure.
Makes sense. Okay. Well, it looks like we do have the vetoes done. We're just setting up the lobby, so we'll go ahead and let y'all mute up, and or I guess just leave. I forget we have this now, but we'll drag you off to your other chats, and then good luck. Have fun. KJ, before they go, did you have any final questions for our players?
No questions. Good luck to both of you while I handle production and you're doing the casting. So it'll be interesting and fun to watch.
Yep. All right. Good luck to you too. You can go ahead and hop into your respective voice chats, and we'll get going. Alrighty. We are ready to go then. Okay. So we'll go ahead and hop into game here. It's going to be Moondance to start off, followed by Cosmic Sapphire and Tropical Sacrifice as the decider match if we get there. So, you know, relatively standard maps. This feels like a map pool where there isn't like a super, super crazy map in the pool, like a Redshift or something like that, or what was the most recent one? Blackburn. There's not like one of those maps. The closest you have is Stargazers, where you do have the main bases that are relatively close together because they're both on the top side of the map. But no super crazy maps in this pool. They're all fairly calm. But we do need to pause real quick. Oh.
Yeah, hang tight, guys. We lost the production intros. You know, the little cool things that pop up. We kind of want that.
Yeah, so I guess I'll talk a little bit about Moondance while we're getting this up and going. So Moondance is one of the maps that has more noticeable features than the rest, so to speak. You do have that pocket base behind your natural, so it is an easy 3-base setup. The only problem with that is that the pocket base has slightly fewer minerals and 1 less gas, which is, of course, half the gas there. It's not a rich geyser or anything like that, so if you do take that base, you are investing more money initially, and you're not getting as much out of it, even once you are fully mining from there. So a lot of times you'll see players risk it and just take one of the full bases outside of their natural instead. A little bit more dangerous, but generally worth the risk as you do get a lot more resources. That said, it does look like we're just about ready to hop back in, just making sure the players are good to go. We'll go ahead and do a countdown. 3, 2, 1, and resume.
Resumed.
So, we are spawning here in the top left-hand side. We got the red Protoss player.
Paused.
Oh. Another quick pause. No big deal. So, yeah. This is obviously, we could talk a little bit about the matchup. At least initially, it's a PvT. The Archaic has been known to race swap a little bit at times, so might not see Terran from him the whole time. But a Protoss versus Terran. Little Reaper, very aggressive player most of the time. Likes Dark Templar, likes Blink Stalkers, likes that micro-heavy stuff. He's shaping up to be quite the Protoss player, in fact, with all of that. But this looks like we've got most of the images ready. So we're just going to make sure that the players are ready, I believe. Yep, 3, 2, 1, in we go.
Game resumed.
And we are back into things. So, in the top left-hand side of the map, we got the red Protoss player.
Game paused.
Oh, sorry, guys. The stupid unit lost thing is showing up, and I can't get out of it. It's you guys, the people on the stream can see it. How do you guys get that out of it?
Shift L.
Shift L, and it's like okay, there it is. It was stuck there for a while. I didn't know the key to get it out. Okay, let's do that again.
Okay, all right.
All right. Archaic, let's see. Message him separately. Okay, he's good.
Okay.
All right.
All right, they are ready to go. So
you do the countdown because I think I'm out.
All right.
Oh.
3, 2, 1.
Game
oh.
paused. Game paused. Game resumed.
All right, go for it, man.
In the top left, we've got the red Protoss player. From Team KJ, he is
Little Reaper.
And in the bottom right-hand side, we've got the purple Terran from Colors. He is
the archaic.
As you may be able to tell, we were.
Sorry, quick
sorry, go
question,
ahead.
ET. Was it known that I thought he was Zerg, but I guess he's Terran? Did he switch? Because we want to make competitive integrity here.
Oh, I'm not sure. Off the top of my head, it's actually been a while since I've seen an archaic
well,
game. I
we'll
don't
see
think
what
I've seen him
happens.
play since last season, but yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, as I was saying, you may be able to tell folks, but we got a little bit spoiled by having professional production teams at the Sunstorm.
That's true.
So we're getting back into the swing of things. Slight technical difficulties, but as long as that's the worst of it, no real problem, right? Oh my goodness, is it lagging a little bit?
Yeah, I'm seeing some lag.
Or is that just me?
I am getting lag too.
Game paused.
Okay,
That's
so it looks
probably
like-
from me. I am.
Let me see.
I'm out in the
what
boonies once again.
Yeah, I have
So,
29 milliseconds ping, so I think we're okay on this side. Can you do your ping check?
Yeah,
Sorry.
it hopped up. It's at 1,000 right now. It's fallen. It was at like 1,800, now it's down to 900.
Okay, hold on. Caster ping issue. So they just know.
Yep. Down to 600. Normally, it's okay.
We're getting all the production
Yeah,
issues right off the bat.
The rigmarole going in. Yeah, I'm back in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, no worries,
No longer living
no
in a
worries.
nice town in Texas, so I don't have the super fancy internet. But normally, it's I can like play ladder and everything like that without lagging too much.
Yeah.
So
So the good
I
news
didn't
is
expect
this is happening like
this
right
to-
early without, we're pausing early rather than messing things up, right? The one thing I wanted to make sure we clarified was in the beginning I thought he selected Zerg, but then it's Terran. But by the time we talked about it, Little Reaper did send a probe to check, so none of that matters. So I just want to make sure that's clear. ET, let me know when you're good to go, so we'll let the players know.
Yep, it's down to about 175, and it's still dropping, so we can probably start up anytime. I did look in the technical FSL information sheet. He's actually listed as Protoss, so neither of the two races he hopped between.
All right.
But
Okay,
yeah,
go ahead and start whenever you're ready. I'm going back to production.
Sure thing. And I'll unpause just so we're clear.
Game resumed.
Okay. Hopefully that's the last of that. So we do have straight into the add-on there, which is, of course, a tech lab for the Archaic. But it looks like it's going to be maybe a proxied Void or maybe a Cannon Rush? I would say it's proxy Void Ray, but he's got a Forge, so that sort of throws me a little bit. I guess we'll see what he's doing. Okay, Cannons initially. Maybe could then go into a Stargate. Now, this feels a little slow initially. Obviously, he's quite a ways away from doing any damage to the Archaic. Cannons aren't going to be able to do anything. I think they're basically, just to defend that Stargate. So we'll see what he manages to get done once he does get a Void Ray out. Only one Marine being produced at a time. It looks like the Archaic is going to go pretty directly into, I would guess, a Cyclone. That's probably why that tech lab exists. As it does flip over. I guess it could technically be a tank, but against... Oh, it is. It is a tank. And he's actually going straight for an armory. That feels very, very fast. Perhaps a little too fast, but we'll see. I mean, if he's only got 3, 4, 5 Marines somewhere in that range by the time the Void Ray comes out and there's a shield battery already done, that could definitely be dangerous for him. However, only one worker on the top gas there until just now is definitely a little bit of slower mining than I think you'd like, Little Reaper here. We are seeing a second factory come out. Neither player looking to expand. The Archaic's just wanting to defend, but this is not the right unit to defend, I would say. It's just barely out of vision range on the cannon battery push of Little Reaper, who is continuing to make more and more shield batteries. It looks like may even be thinking about taking an expansion at some point, so this is not the end for him. He is planning on at least long-distance mining, and which I do like, adding on just more and more probes, but just mining from the natural base. Command Center is now coming in for the Archaic, who does now have a Cyclone, so I think in a pretty safe position here. Little Reaper's Void Ray will go in now. Looking for some damage, but does get locked onto by the Cyclone. an important little factoid. The Void Ray can only lock on from 6 range away, but once it's locked onto you, it has what's called a leash range of 8. Which means once it starts shooting you, you actually have to get an extra 2 or 3 distance away from it before it will unlock on. So even though your unit might be faster, that doesn't mean they're going to be able to outrun the Void Ray very easily. Once it gets locked on, it's pretty hard for units to get away. Now, I think the Archaics may be trying to get a little too aggressive here with this Siege Tank. I think it should just die here. As, uh-oh, the Archaic got to be really careful with that Cyclone. But actually, the battery's completely out of energy. And that second Void Ray feels very late. No additional batteries as well as I think Little Reaper's probe maybe fell. Yeah, I think it was sitting in range of that Siege Tank, which did take it out. So that's very unfortunate there. He had a second Void Ray here. He could definitely go on top of that Cyclone, but as it is, he's definitely struggling here. Doesn't quite get the Cyclone, and now there's another one out on top of that one as well. No natural base on the way for Little Reaper just yet either. As I think he's going to lose another Void Ray. Indeed, he does. And a painful loss there for Little Reaper. Just trying to add on more shield batteries, but at this point, yeah, the Archaic's going to come down, and I don't think that Void Ray is going to be ready in time. Losing that second Void Ray just leaves him so exposed here. There is one cannon, so may be able to survive for the time needed, but a good, safe lock-on out of the Archaic. Actually pulls a little bit too far back. Be able to stay locked on. Another Void Ray does come out. It will look to chase, but there's now 3 Cyclones out. Very little shield battery energy remaining here. And Magfield Accelerator finishing up in 10 seconds is a dangerous prospect. He is looking to come in 1-0. Now there's 4 Magfield Cyclones. Does barely make it out of there. And of course, see the little red lasers coming on for the Cyclones, indicating that upgrade has been researched. I think Little Reaper should maybe just get out with the Siege Tank, or with the Void Ray, that is, rather than remaining here with it, as he probably will end up losing it if he does. May even be able to get out with 2 Void Rays. Gonna overcharge the Void Ray. If it does lose it, gets a tank. If he can get out with this Void Ray, that may be okay, but does not get away. It does kill a Cyclone, so it's okay trades, but you definitely need much better, as it's now 31 army supply to 4. Natural base is finished up for Little Reaper as well, but perhaps a little bit too little too late, as there's only 2 Stalkers and an Adept against quite a Terran force, especially when those Magfield Cyclones can absolutely rip Stalkers to pieces here. The Stalkers, of course, do not have Blink, and we'll see here. I mean, they're going to just absolutely annihilate these Stalkers in short order, as they say. And indeed, all the Stalkers go down, only 1 Adept remaining, and I think we are going to see game number 1 go the way of the Archaic with a narrow hold against that first Void Ray, but does get it done. Push up into the main base of Little Reaper. Locks on and does take out the Adept as well. There's a cannon, but that's not going to do too much against 4 Cyclones and a bunch of Marines. Very good try indeed, but GG is called. So again, a good attempt. Not quite able to pull it out there. I think maybe the first Void Ray is a little bit slow there. If it's a little bit faster without those 2 cannons and everything going down as well, and if that main base gas is mining 2 or 3 out of 3 probes instead of 1 out of 3, that means the Stargate's going to be that much faster. And maybe he actually gets in there before the first Cyclone's out. It could get quite a lot of damage done, but as it was, not able to get what it's looking for, which means we will have to head into game number 2. I'm just going to be on Cosmic Sapphire here. Just to make the map real quick. We'll get our players in here and get going to game number 2. This is, again, a good attempt. Not quite pulling it out there. Doing his best. And I believe we've both made a lobby. Nope, never mind. Good. Perfect. All right. We got everyone in the lobby, just making sure everybody's ready. And then we'll be able to hop into game. on Cosmic Sapphire, which is another fun map. It's got some interesting little doodads and everything on it. It does look like the Archaic is kind of swapping around his race a little bit, but I think he's settling on Protoss here. All right. Going to be a PvP on Cosmic Sapphire. Game number 2.
You're watching FSL Season 6.
And we're loading into game number 2 here in the top left-hand side of Cosmic Sapphire. LE, it is the purple Protoss player. He is
The Archaic.
And his opponent in the bottom right, the red Protoss player. He is
Little Reaper.
So PvP obviously could be a very explosive matchup, particularly when Little Reaper is involved. We've seen lots of proxy robos and things like that coming out. It's absolutely an option here as well. The Archaic, though, going for a very quick probe scout here. Off of his pylon, I believe. Gas is going down in the main base for Little Reaper here. He is sending a scout slightly slower across the map himself. Taking that double gas setup. So imagine we will be seeing that out of the Archaic as well. But perhaps not. Maybe looking to expand. Little Reaper could absolutely block that with a probe on this side of the map. And indeed, the Archaic's looking to go down. Will Little Reaper block or not? This could be a big moment. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. You'll be floating a lot of money if you're on one gas here, though. Interesting. So yeah, just Cyber Core each. And Little Reaper is looking to expand. The Archaic quite yet. And it looks like neither player is going to opt to block the other's Nexus. Little Reaper's second pylon already finished up. Cyber Core up as well. We'll be able to start making some tech. Should he so desire. Needs to fill that gas in his main base, and we'll be doing so. Indeed. Okay, does try to get a probe there. Not to be today. We'll be taking a slightly farther behind Nexus. He started to make, I believe, a Stargate and then cancels it to make his Nexus. So, interesting. Twilight Council going to be coming down for Little Reaper, as well as a second Gateway. We'll have to see what the tech of the Archaic is going to be. He's just making some Adepts now. Stalker's coming out for Little Reaper as well, as his natural base is a good bit ahead of his opponents. Kind of an odd spot because of that tech make and then cancel. Little Reaper finds himself ahead in both the Nexus and the tech building. So definitely a nice start for him here. However, the Archaic is still up 2 probes. Little Reaper's consistent probing, a little bit of an issue for him in this game at least. Should be able to make Blink, I'd imagine, pretty soon here. Never mind, it's Charge. Never mind, it's Blink. Okay. I was technically correct at the end of the day. Double Adept's going to come in and has some potential to get some damage done, but Little Reaper does have a probe in that wall off ready to defend. The Archaic coming in, but Little Reaper blocks it perfectly. Very nicely done indeed. But the Archaic just comes down to the natural. Finds a couple probes there instead. Will the Stalker of Little Reaper be able to get an Adept? Does not look like it will, with some good pullback micro out of the Archaic here. And again, Little Reaper, he's not probing consistently. This is definitely a little bit of an issue in this game as he finds himself down 6 workers. Sorry, make that 8 workers. And he's still not making probes. Looks like he's thinking about maybe just going all in as he goes up the 4 gateways. Still not producing workers until just now, really. Will that probe block the ramp? It does. Very nicely done out of Little Reaper there. Can move his Stalkers out to push those Adepts back now. The Archaic did not pull back just yet. Will take some damage here. May even lose one of his Adepts. Indeed, he will. It's very nice there. 1 Adept. Exponentially less scary than 2. Phoenix Scout is going to come across the map, hallucinated, of course, for the Archaic. 4th gateway, finishing up. He's adding on a 5th, sort of slowly probing up, but this has put him down 10 plus workers. And he's only lost 1 or 2 to the Adepts, but not probing has cost him 8 more workers than his opponent has at this point, basically. Blink does finish up. Charge now on the way for the Archaic, though. And a 3rd base on the way as well. I mean, we see him pretty much even in army supply, while also being up 10 workers, which is not something I like to see at this point in the game. Definitely Little Reaper could work on continually hitting that probe making key here, as he was in a very solid spot in the early game, but just not consistently making workers has cost him that. We'll continue warping in more and more Stalkers. Does have some pretty good Stalker micro, so still some potential for him here, but we'll have to see how this attack goes. It's pretty much going to make or break it for him. And with an Immortal out, if those shield batteries finish up, I feel very worried about Little Reaper's chances here on this attack. I mean, that is a lot of Stalkers now. He is up 10 army supply, but that's not a whole lot because the army of the Archaic is going to be so much more sophisticated. And with the 2nd Immortal and Charge coming out, I just don't feel too good about this attack from Little Reaper. Thinks about going in again, second guesses. At this point, I'm just not sure his army has the required strength to push through double Immortal, especially with those Zealots at the front. Stalkers do not fare well against Charge Zealots. They don't even fare particularly well against non-charged Zealots, and there's going to be 10 almost Zealots on the field now for the Archaic. 2 Immortals as well, even some Stalkers to put in the damage, and at this point, I think Little Reaper has missed his window here. He's trying to expand to a 3rd base, but he's so far down in workers now. Almost half of the worker count of his opponent, only 6 workers on the minerals and the naturals we just saw there. That is a painful position to be in when your opponent has more mining on his 3rd than you do in his natural, or on your natural, and you're just now trying to expand. It's not where you want to be here. Reaper is going to try and micro back, but now the Immortals get on top. I mean, decent blink micro here for sure. Does kill most of the Zealots, but the Immortals are the real expensive, powerful units in this army, and they still stand completely strong. Shield Battery Overcharge comes in as well. Little Reaper continuing to blink back, doing a fairly good job of it, but I think the Archaic just has more staying power behind his push here than Little Reaper does. The Stalkers continuing to fight, but taking more and more damage to those Immortals. I mean, the Archaic is pulling back, but I'm not even sure that it's fully necessary here. Does now pull the probes. Very good choice there. Does get his shield batteries depowered, but still, yeah, he is floating 2,000 of each mineral almost, which is definitely painful. But even without being able to spend that with triple Immortal against only Blink Stalkers, just the trickle of Zealots coming in as well should be enough to defend here. And behind this, Little Reaper's still not probing, which means he's just falling further and further behind in the money. Still only 6 workers on the natural base. I mean, obviously you have to do a lot of micro on Blink Stalkers to do much with them, but even with that, this is still a painful spot to find yourself. Little Reaper does pull back, +1 now on the way for the Archaic as well. He's got 1,600 minerals and 2,000 gas in the bank, adding on 5 more gateways. That's exactly what you want to see. Love to see a Templar Archives on the way as well. Just something to be able to spend that gas bank a little bit better as well. As Zealots don't spend gas very well, if you didn't know. And now the infrastructure for the Archaic is just going to take off. So far from that of Little Reapers, it's going to be 10 gateways to 5. 56 workers to 35. I mean, if Little Reaper had just been probing behind this the whole time, he might have been in a better position, but as it is, it's going to be very, very difficult for a 4-Stalker Prism drop to get him back into this game. Quick pull away out of the Archaic as well. Quick recall, but the Prism will make it out of there. The Reaper continues to warp in just Blink Stalkers, which are just going to fare worse and worse against the increasingly upgraded army of the Archaic here. Have +1. Looks like he's even thinking about going into Disruptors, maybe. Does have the Robotics Bay now finished up. Does come down into the natural base, looking to get some damage there as well. But there's a shield battery and a whole army to boot. It'll drop back up into the main base, but there's 6 Stalkers there. Needs to be careful against that. Does not want to lose this Prism. Still down 50 supply. It's definitely a rough spot here for him. He's doing his best, but so much less money available to him. Has caught up somewhat in the workers. 41 against 61, only down 20, but that's still a lot to be down. Your opponent hasn't killed. Yeah, I mean, only 3 workers killed here for the Archaic, and yet he's up 20. Now going into Disruptors as well. Obviously a very powerful unit. Little Reaper's trying to get up into Disruptors of his own, but he doesn't have as much economy, so he's just not able to get out as much stuff here. And a pure Blink Stalker army against Disruptors being added in. Charge lots, Immortals. It's just going to be a tough, tough sell here. Now down almost 70 supply. 4th base finishing up for the Archaic as well. Going to come back into the main base. Going to get some more damage done, but again, going to have to get a whole honkin' lot of damage to get back into this one. Disruptors continuing to come out. Huge amounts of charged Zealots here for the Archaic. +2 halfway done. Blink now coming out for him as well. Does fully reveal what's going on here. I do like the Archaic is definitely playing his opponent. He has, I believe, 3 observers with his army. So definitely aware of the Dark Templar that Little Reaper likes to use on occasion. Army does come in, and I mean, Little Reaper cannot contest this, has to give up the natural base. Going to try and hold with a Disruptor or 2 in his natural, but with the 3rd base given up like that, it's going to be a tough position to hold. Defensive Disruptors are good, but whenever you're stuck in a corner like this, offensive Disruptors are almost better. There's not much place to fade away from them. Disruptors are a type of unit you want to be using on the other side of the map. That said, there goes all of the Archaic's Disruptors, so that definitely helps. A surprisingly good start to the fight there for the Archaic. Little Reaper, he's got the shield battery overcharged, but it has now run out. There's still so many charged Zealots. No additional Disruptors on the way, and even with cleaning up the 3 Disruptors for free there, not quite able to pull it off, I don't think. Trying to blink back up into his main base, but it's too little, too late, I fear. A big Disruptor hit does go out. And the Archaic looks like he's going to be pushing his way to a 2-0 victory in this series here against Little Reaper. Some solid defensive plays and just some solid macro as well. A big Disruptor hit does go out, but it's too little, too late here. Although the Archaic's like, well, maybe I do need to run away. Nah. In he goes. Another Disruptor fires out, cleans up the last Stalkers of Little Reaper. Will kill that Disruptor as well. And GG's called.
Alright, bring him in for some interviews.
Yeah, okay. So we've got our players here. The Archaic, the Victor, and Little Reaper. Not quite able to pull it out there. What do you think went wrong for you in that series, Little Reaper?
I didn't really micro the Void Rays that well. And I think I maybe should have pushed earlier because he might have gotten a bigger push in the second game. I probably should push earlier because he didn't have that big of a force earlier.
Yeah, that's true. We were talking about that a little bit. You were out across the map, looking like you were about to push in before his shield batteries were finished up, but then you waited for another warping or two, which allowed him to have those 2 shield batteries, a few more units. So that makes sense. May have had potential there, but a pretty close series. Yeah, a little bit of better micro maybe on the Void Rays could have helped. Obviously, Cyclone's pretty good against Void Rays, though, but definitely a solid attempt overall. Obviously, though, the Archaic, pretty strong player, so it's tough to come back there. Looks like you were trying to go into Disruptors maybe as your comeback unit in game number 2, but weren't quite able to get enough of them up.
Yeah, I got a pretty good disruptor hit on the guys when they went up my room, though, which was pretty nice.
That's true. I did see that. It's always nice to at least get a couple good hits in. You do wind up losing. Feel a little bit happier about it. Trading blow for blow. So good try overall. Kay, did you have any questions for him?
No, no real questions. The game is pretty straightforward. You casted it pretty well, explaining all the scenarios.
Perfect. All right, and then our Victor, the Archaic here, looking fairly in control in both games. Game number 1, it looked like maybe you thought it was going to be a bit more of a ground push. Went for a very early siege tank. Did the Void Rays kind of catch you off guard a little bit, or were you expecting them at that point?
The plan was actually for a Cyclone all-in. It just happened to counter Void Rays like completely. I went for the early siege tank just because, well, if he was doing an all-in against my all-in, since my all-in is slower, I would have an offense against it.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. And then, yeah, I mean, just some pretty good micro on the Cyclones. Obviously, it's, a bit of a chore. Once the Void Rays get locked on, it feels like you can never get far enough away. So, well microed there. And, go to hold. Defense there. And, yeah, I guess all in against all in. Obviously, a Cyclone all in. Usually going to beat a Void Ray all in. Pretty good in that scenario. But well played there. Game number 2, I think just managed to hold at the third base. Really got your early charge zealots up with the Immortals, a pretty strong composition. Blank Stalkers, obviously, and then swapping into the Disruptors to close things out. Did wind up losing a few Disruptors there on the push. I think 2 different control groups maybe, and pretty hard to manage both at once. So they wound up wandering in a little too far, but obviously just had so much more that able to push through. Did you feel pretty comfortable throughout that game, or were there any moments where you were worried about him being able to break you?
Definitely in the early game, I felt ahead. I'd say I forgot my natural. I sort of felt ahead. The attack on the third, I thought I was gonna lose, but I don't know. I don't really know how I went. I don't think I don't know. There were a lot of like micro mistakes that I made as well. When he got that disruptor hit on me when I was in his base, I clicked on the disruptor trying to micro away. I clicked on his disruptor, so I couldn't micro away.
Right. That makes perfect sense. Okay. Well, I mean, you did manage to clean it out. Looking good so far this season, obviously. And going to have a lot more matches to go, though. How are you feeling overall about the group with all the players in there? Are you feeling pretty confident to make it into the playoffs and maybe even win? Or what are you thinking about your team?
I've been pretty busy over FSL days, so I haven't been really like watching Code games.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I just look at my next match and like, oh, okay, I'm facing this person. What does this person do? Yeah. So I just practice like maybe like a week or 2 before.
Okay. Yep, that makes absolute sense. Okay. Well, perfect. Well played to both of y'all, and we'll see you guys in your next matches. Good luck with those.
Good luck. Good luck, the Archaic.
All right, and are we heading into, I assume, the 2v2 next? Is that correct?
Yeah, we can do the 2v2 if the players are ready. Let's go check out the lineup there. That's basically... I mean, you can talk about them. I think you know them pretty well, right? What do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, one of them is my sister, so I'd like to think I know her fairly well. But yeah, Polaris, I think they started practicing for this match an hour ago, so
All
that's
right.
good. You know, obviously been a little busy with. Obviously, there was the FSL at Storm Cup. They were doing that, and then you know, final season is coming up for Caliber C, who's in college, so a little harder to find practice time during those seasons. But I think they're feeling all right about their chances here. Obviously, Instability has faced Cyan in a 1v1 scenario and was able to take it there. So I guess it really comes down to how well Caliber C stacks up against Kitty Cat. To see,
Yeah.
he's looked relatively strong thus far, but I think we've only seen one series out of them. So, and I believe it was against those two jokers, which is
Doesn't tell you
not
too
a
much, I
great
guess.
benchmark for
Yeah,
the
doesn't tell you
overall
too
thing.
much. Yeah.
Like, okay, they can hold a worker rush. Beyond that, we'll have to see, basically. So
Yep.
it's a little bit up in the air. I think I'd give a little bit of an advantage to Polaris, but definitely Cyan Kitty.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
those guys have already done their map selection, so we can bring them in for interview.
Okay.
Although we're missing a Caliber C's camera, but let's bring him in as we do this.
Okay. I don't have privileges to drag them in, by the way.
Oh, we need to give you that.
I can't do that.
There you go. They're here now.
Hello, everybody. Going into our 2v2 match now. We are joined by our players here. We'll start with Polaris, I guess. How are y'all feeling going into the match tonight? You all practiced up?
I think she just went AFK.
Well, you can answer too.
Well, I'm as practiced as I can be.
Yeah, I was saying a little bit while we were waiting on you to get ready that, you know, it is growing close to final season, so.
Yeah. Well, it looks like he's reconnecting his camera, so we can just ask questions for each of the three that's here.
Perfect. Okay. So, Instability, how are you feeling about tonight's match?
Somewhat confident, though we haven't practiced very much. I think we synergize well enough that it should work out.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah, I saw you guys were practicing a little bit on the ladder, so getting that warm up in. Feeling all right then. Cyan, how are you and Kitty Cat Gamer feeling about the match tonight?
Not too bad. I don't think we'll win, but I think we'll put up a good show tonight, and hopefully we can take a map.
All right. Yeah, I think we're all hopeful to see a game 3. Always exciting to see. So, perfect. Kitty Cat Gamer, how are you feeling?
Good. But
great.
Like Cyan said, I don't know. I don't think we're gonna win.
Right. Well, we'll have to see. Obviously, you know, Instability is a very strong 1v1 player, but 2v2s are a whole different ball game, right? So we could see something crazy come out absolutely on either side. So should be exciting. And then I guess Caliber C, do you have your camera up? How are you feeling about the match?
I'm feeling pretty confident. I think either way, it's just going to be a lot of fun.
Perfect. All right. Did you have any final questions for our players, KJ?
Yeah. So Caliber C was at the Storm Cup and Instability. I'd like to hear what they thought of it, given, you know, it just kind of happened. So let's start with you, Instability. How did you feel about Storm Cup? What did you like about it? What are the things that you really enjoyed, etc.?
I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yep.
I thought it was pretty nice to see, like, how casual everyone was there. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I guess you see pros and competitive people, you figure they'd be super serious, right? But everyone was chill, right? So besides that, what else did you notice? You know, given this is your first LAN, right?
I don't know. I thought it was really cool the way I forget, Misery and the Detweiler, like, I don't know, hung out with the younger kids that they were teamed up with there.
Oh yeah, the FSL 2v2 show match, right?
She and Pone and Little Reaper, yeah.
Yeah, they hung out even after the show match. They played a few games. Yeah, that's cool. Caliber, I saw you there briefly. Any impressions?
Oh, yeah, I really enjoyed the experience. That was my first time, and the sportsmanship, seeing the guys shake hands after every match was just kind of a refreshing environment to see, especially in a competitive environment.
Yeah. I think what he's talking about, that ET, is we've seen other esports games and how the players are and how sometimes they're kind of toxic, but in the SC2 they seem to be pretty cool, right?
Yeah, overall, I'd say everyone was very well mannered. Everyone was very friendly, welcoming, even to the players. Like, there are I've been to some other events where the top players don't really want to have anything to do with like the people that come to watch and things like that. So everyone was very friendly, talked to anyone and everyone. Tempo, a big shout out to him. He was
That's
super.
right.
My little siblings have always been very big fans of his, and he was super amazing. Very happy to meet them as well. So big shout out to him. And yeah, it was just an awesome event overall.
All right. Well, now you're back here at your home base, guys. We're back to online matches, so good luck.
Well, thank you.
All right, y'all can go to your respective voice chats and communicate about the match. We will go ahead and hop into game once you're there.
All right. So, now that they're not here, we're going to start off with Pillars of Death. What do you think, Han? I mean, it sounds pretty... They feel like they're not going to win, but I guess we'll find out how close the games would be, right? Because if you feel like you're not going to win, your odds go a lot lower.
That's true. It's hard to say for sure because Caliber C is really very much a question mark. He's played 2 games thus far, one against a worker rush.
Yeah.
So there's not a whole lot to know about what his strategy is going to be. And Cyan and Kitty Cat Gamer are both more macro focused rather than the more aggression focused, like those 2 jokers. So it's not going to be just about being able to defend pushes. It's about being able to actually make an army and win.
Cool.
You're watching FSL Season 6.
Alrighty, we are spawning in here in the bottom left-hand side. We've got the blue Zerg player. She is.
Instability.
And her ally, the red Terran, actually selecting his race. He is...
Caliber C.
Together, they are...
Polaris.
Okay, I wasn't sure if we had the voice for them or not at this point. And in the top right-hand side of the map, we've got the purple Zerg player. From Psystorm Community, she is...
Kitty Cat Gamer.
And her ally, the orange Protoss player. He is...
Cyan.
And together they are... Question mark.
Cyan Kitty? Yeah, I think so.
I'm just going to assume we don't have voice intros for the teams.
Yeah, we normally don't unless they have a graphic. So the only one that was able to submit one was Fenrir's team, which will be on their next match.
Ah, perfect. Okay. So Fields of Death, interesting map. It's got a lot of gold bases, like a lot. I think it's like 6 gold bases in total. You've got the 2 in the middle on each side, respectively, and then a couple in the corner as well, I think. Yeah, that... Actually... No, yeah, it's just 6. It's just 6. So 6 gold bases in total is a lot of quick cash you can get. They're all relatively exposed, so they can be hard to take. So we'll see what the players opt to go for. Instability picking Zerg, of course. Her main race is usually Protoss, so we'll see what she has in store for us with her off race. Could be a whole host of things. We've actually got expansions out of every player so far. Very honorable. And it looks like Caliber C shaping up to do a little bit of a 2-on-1, or Taiga, I'll call him. And a fun story about Taiga and I as we're letting the game shape out. Taiga's my best friend in real life, and we met in 2013 at some random event, and we kind of hit it off, and then we were chatting, and the topic of video games came up, and I was like, well, I play a lot of StarCraft 2. He's like, no way, I play a lot of StarCraft 2. So we were like, we should add each other online. And so in our hotel rooms that night, respective hotel rooms, we were hopping on to play some, and I added him. And at the time, I was in a clan called Determinant, and I added him, and he popped up, and he was also in Determinant, which was like a 40-person clan in StarCraft 2 in 2013. Yeah. We just happened to be in the exact same clan. He was from Pennsylvania, and I was from West Virginia. And we were just in the same clan. No connection to each other in-game at all, but we just happened to, besides just being in the same clan, we'd never spoken or anything. We just happened to hit it off, and we were right in the same StarCraft 2, like 40-person clan. It was pretty crazy. And that was back in 2013 as well, which is like about as big as StarCraft 2 ever was, really. Nowadays, there's a lot fewer players, but back then it was even crazier. So there's a little story as we go into things. We do have Cyan going for Glaive Adepts, it looks like. As instability, it's going for the Laser Lords at 3 minutes 50 seconds, making 6 Overlords at less than 4 minutes into the game. Maybe at like 36 supply out of 90. Adding on a lair as well. And Caliber C is indeed going for that 2-1-1 drop against Speed Roaches and Glaive Adepts, which are both fairly solid against a 2-1-1. Ability just making a lot of Zerglings at the moment, continuing to pump out drones as well. No real vision on the map yet. Would have liked to see some Speedlings on each of the watchtowers from either side, really. That's always some excellent vision. As it is, should get a full scout off on these Adepts with this Overlord, and we'll see how the players react to this. They're going to want a bunker or two, I'd imagine. Going to need to make a lot of Zerglings. Instability, of course, has never even heard the word supply block, so we'll be able to make as many Zerglings as she has Larva with her 58 out of 82 army supply, or general supply. Caliber C does get the ramp up, which is very nice for him there. Instability's natural base, though, is under duress, and now Kitty Cat Gamer protecting the Adepts, playing very well in sync. Our Kitty Cat Gamer and Cyan here, I must say, very nicely done here thus far. As continuing to make Marines and Marauders is Caliber C. Does catch out some of the Adepts alone. 22 more Zerglings now on the way for Instability. That's a lot of units to help defend here. Marauders do pretty well against Adepts, but needs to lift those up in the medevac. Both Marauders will go down. Very unfortunate. Siege Tank coming out, though, is very nice as well. Does shade up into the main base. Cyan, that is. And more damage will come down here as the natural base for Instability has fallen. She's going for a Spire, though. If they can hold here, they may still be in a pretty good position. Ramp is now up. Taiga does have 3 bases up in the back, very safe, and I don't think KCAT Gamer and Cyan have detected that there is a base for Instability up to the upper left. If they killed that, they'd be in a pretty nice spot, but Instability even very nicely routing the Zerglings made from that base off into the corner. A lot of players would have just had their rally right to their main base, so the Zerglings would have kind of given away that base's position, but even so, I'm not sure that they're going to be able to hold here, as that Siege Tank was too close to the wall, was able to be picked off by Adepts over supply depots, which is not something you're expecting to see here. 7 Mutalisks now on the way, but Cyan smartly now already warping in Stalkers. Instability trying to target down the Stalkers, though, with her Zerglings, so that the Mutalisks can clean up here. And this is such a close fight. This has been going on for minutes, it seems like. There's only 2 very low health Stalkers, and he's warping into Adepts once again. Instability now out with the Mutalisks. Does still have that other base up as well. 32 workers, all players on pretty even worker counts here, and the Adepts will get cleaned up by the Mutalisks eventually, but how many workers will be able to kill in the meantime? Glaive Adepts do so well even against SCVs, which they obviously only 3-shot rather than 2-shot like the other units in the game. Terran OP. Adepts will get cleaned out, but definitely a lot of lost workers there for Taiga, down to 28 workers now. But with 3 command centers as a Terran, you're not feeling too bad about only being down about 5 workers from your opponent. And with that, a hold, and now there are Mutalisks out on the map. How much will Instability be able to get done with these? This really kind of will decide how the game goes from here. Of course, on these team maps, there's so much airspace. Bases are so much farther apart. It's so much harder to defend against Mutalisks in team games than it is in 1v1s. I think with more than one player, that wouldn't be the case, and in some ways it is, but as Zerg, it's very hard to get up anti-air, so it's basically only going to be Cyan defending against these Mutalisks for the moment. Ability does come over. We'll be able to clean up a queen that has high energy, so that's very nice there. Does lose a Mutalisk for it, but denying a lot of mining time here for Cyan, knocking him back down to 30 workers. Cat Gamer floating 4,000 minerals here. Maybe give some of those to Cyan, help him get his economy back up and going. Obviously, when you're just speedling all-inning and you have a lot of workers, it's very hard to spend your money if you're just making Zerglings. They are just about the most dirt cheap unit in the game. That said, players in the bottom left, Polaris, starting to take off a little bit in the supply. They're up about 20 to 30 supply on their opponents here. Instability able to find an Overlord here of Kitty Cat Gamers as well, just rotating in, out, and around with the Mutalisks on the regular, on the double, one could even say. So it does look for more damage, but Hydralisks do kind of rip Mutalisks apart, as we saw there. 3 or 4 Mutas going down, I believe. It was 4 Mutalisks, I think, maybe just 3. A lot of Mutas. A lot of Mutalisks do go down there. +1 air now on the way for Instability. It's Taiga getting up into that mech army, planting it right at the ramp, saying, "Come and get me, boys." And now it's 6 bases against only 4. That's not a great place to be in as Cyan Kitty. Gotta say, they are adding on some upgrades, but they're not even really up in army supply either. So if they do go for a push up a ramp into siege tanks with Stalker Hydralisk, I gotta tell you, it's not going to go well. Instability taking a gold base now as well, so the economy advantage is going to get farther ahead, I believe. Gold base is extremely valuable in StarCraft 2, of course. Hydralisk upgrade going to be finishing up fairly soon here, but more and more Mutalisks coming out. We'll say Instability is not going for a unit comp that does well in frontal engagement, unless she, there we go, is adding on Baneling. She gets up Baneling speed and has 30 or 40 Banelings. That basically means the Hydralisks cannot jump onto the tanks. Banelings will absolutely annihilate them. And the Stalkers even don't fare terribly well against the Banelings. Eventually, in theory, the Mutalisks can get to a count where they can take on the Stalkers, but not at that point quite yet. Do have to pull back there.
All right, we seem to have lost ET there, so let me try to keep commentating here. Some scans.
Oh goodness!
Okay, he's
hello?
back. He's back now. I hear you now.
I think my microphone maybe cut out. Okay, I'm back. I was just commentating away, and then you're like, "We've lost ET," and I'm like, "What?" Okay, back into it. I don't know how long I was gone, but Instability not able to find too much damage with the Mutalisks. The supplies are starting to even out a little bit here. But I still think Polaris in a fairly solid position here. They are up a base, which is very big. And, it's a gold base as well, which makes it even more important. Starting to get up into those upgrades a little bit ahead of that of their opponents as well. Taiga also taking a gold base, so everybody's getting rich on Team Polaris, it looks like. getting those upgrades for the tanks as well, and tanks are going to be so strong here. He's even going into double factory tank against a primarily Hydra Stalker composition, which is going to be absolutely gross. There's like 7 siege tanks on the map at the moment, 2 at a time being pumped out here by Taiga. He's just going to have a disgusting force against Cyan and Gagging going for here. Especially with those upgrades coming down for him as well. +1/+1, finishing up soon. Stability does have her +1/+1 now as well. And even getting +2 on the Mutalisks, which still not finding too much damage, but a little bit here and there. Does look like Storm is out for Cyan, so very nice there. Kitty Cat Gamer looking to do a 4 Hydralisk drop, potentially, which is interesting. Has some potential, of course. Mutalisks do come into the main base of Kitty Cat Gamer, get a little bit more damage done, and get out without losing any. Very indeed. Continue to pump out more and more Mutalisks, but Cyan, now he's looking to come out onto the map, maybe. Might have sniffed out the base of Caliber C. Hasn't seen it yet. Doesn't mean he hasn't intuited it out. Looks like he's maybe just protecting his base, though. I'm not sure how I feel about reaching this far out just to take a regular base when you could take a gold base that's closer to your current bases. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Does allow him to push down into the bottom right and will clean up this base of Caliber C, but will he be able to kill the other fully mining gold base here? Could even get, if he doesn't move out soon, he could get cornered here by siege tanks, which could be quite painful indeed. Ability does have quite the Mutaflock, but there's a lot of Archons and a lot of Storm out now. And it looks like most of the tanks did not come along for this trip, as Taiga is pulling back with half his army. A little bit of a disjointed defense here out of Taiga and Instability, but the Bio does push in now. No stim just yet, and a lot of Storms going down on the Mutalisks and on the Bio, blanketing the Bio, really. Just a whole lot of unsieged tanks coming in, though. Now all sieging up, and we'll just wipe this army of Cyan, I believe, here with the siege tank fire. Definitely a little bit of a disjointed defense, about as good a trade as Cyan could have hoped to get here, but does lose his whole army for it. There's only like 1 or 2 Marines here on the ground to clean up the Warp Prism. But, oh, and now Kitty Cat Gamer's coming in, but perhaps a day late and a dollar short, as there's 4 siege tanks on the high ground in the main. More siege tanks down in the lower right, and Marauders pushing up from the bottom right as well. May be able to push through these tanks, but now moves down to try and clean up the Marauders rather than the tanks, which just means each of those tanks get another volley or 2 of shots off. Absolutely painful here for Kitty Cat Gamer, and here come the Speedbanes as well onto those Hydralisks. Trying to go up into the main base is Kitty Cat Gamer. I mean, he's making it as well. Instability is on the other side of the map with the Mutalisks focusing on those, I think, and not microing the Banelings. And a ton of medevacs will go down here. But a lot of damage come down for Instability on the other side of the map. Cyan has very little supply left, indeed. And so many tanks left for Taiga at this point still. And just a lot of money for Team Polaris. Those gold bases really coming into play very heavily, and do manage to clean out the army of Kitty Cat Gamer. Mutalisks do get somewhat cleaned up by the Stalkers, but the army supply advantage is humongous for Team Polaris at this point. Langbane pushing in onto those Hydras and pushing them back across the map. And it's looking dire here for Cyan Kitty. They are regrouping, it looks like, a little bit. Good attempt out of Kitty Cat Gamer there, really, but siege tanks are pretty good against Hydralisks, I gotta say. They do quite well indeed. Taiga now going to push across the map with those siege tanks. Once those get sieged, I'm just not sure there's ever a way you're going to defend this. There's 6 sieged tanks here, 5 sieged tanks. A lot of sieged tanks. Some of them do go down. 3-3 on the way for Team Polaris as well, which just means they're getting farther and farther ahead in the upgrades as well. Only +1/+1 on the way for, or done, I should say, for Cyan Kitty. Kitty Cat Gamer does add on a lot of spores in the main base, but I think they're really looking to harass anymore. They're more looking to kill you. The spores may not do as much as they would have earlier on in the game. Tanks may be going to siege up on the low ground and provide a launching point onto that high ground here for Team Polaris, as they are heavily up in supply now. And just sort of methodically moving across the map. and making a ton of banelings, which is also a methodical move, one could say. The method is hit and hold the E button on your keyboard. But anyways, Taiga goes in, fires one warning shot, and then pulls back. But here comes Cyan. The tanks are not sieged here. Does manage to snap up a couple tanks, but Ling Surround does come in. And oh my goodness. That is 2-2 Ling Bane against 1-1 Stalkers. And, oh no, sorry, 2-2 Stalkers for Cyan, but GG is called nonetheless. And GG. Well, not too bad there from either side. I mean, that first push really looked promising. I think nearly broke through. It was just the Mutalisk coming out and barely cleaning up the Stalkers there. Was kind of pushed that over the edge there for Polaris, allowing them to defend there. But a scary, scary time for them indeed. And definitely thought they might take it there. Cyan Kitty, that is.
There's also that fight where Cyan attacked that the whole army with some awesome storms. But if Kitty Cat's Hydras were there, I think they would have crushed that group, and maybe they could have pushed through.
It's quite possible. Taiga, as a player, from what I've seen, is he's pretty good at making stuff, but he's not too good at doing stuff with the stuff that he makes. So, like, when he has to reposition the tanks and things like that, it takes, a little bit longer than it could, and you're hoping for it. And so that allows those kinds of openings where, yeah, if the whole army's there, they might just get completely jumped on and cleaned up.
Yeah, that's what team
unfortunately,
games are, right?
A little bit disjointed.
You gotta be fighting together with your teammate. And then the other big thing there was Kitty Cat had 7,000 plus minerals. So that's a nice adjustment they could make in game 2, right? Imagine Cyan with that amount of money.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think she had no upgrades on those Hydras as well, which is a fairly big deal. But yeah, I mean, that push definitely had potential as well. It is odd, almost. They were so perfectly in sync on that first attack, and I guess that's because that attack was the plan all along, right? But then later on in the game, once it's not a fully planned out thing, they didn't attack together at all. Like, it was basically like, I'm pretty sure Cyan's like, I'm fighting them, and Kitty Cat's at home and is like, oh, what? And then you move your Hydras all the way across the map. But obviously Hydras aren't the fastest unit, so it takes them a while to get there, and by the time you're there, it's all over for your allies' units. But nonetheless, we actually have another race switch here, as here in the top left-hand side, we got the orange Terran player. He is
Cyan.
And his ally, the red Zerg player, she is
Kitty Cat Gamer.
And together they are Cyan Kitty. The opponents in the bottom right-hand side of the map, we've got a blue Terran player. He is
Caliber C.
And his ally, the purple Protoss player, she is
Instability.
And together they are Polaris. Okay, so now we've got Cyan as Terran instead of Instability as Zerg. Instability did go back to her main race of Protoss here. And does go for that probe scout across the map, adding on Cybercore. Taking the expansion soon as well. DK Gamer doing her hatch gas pool build.
That's the first time she ever did that in FSL history.
The hatch gas? Really?
Yeah, usually. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought she said hatch, because she had a fast hatch. Look, she might have gone hatch first.
I think she did. Yeah, hatch gas pool. I think build there. So not bad.
Yeah, she usually gets pool first in the FSL games that I've seen.
Yeah, granted, she's usually playing against like Qianpone, where I would say you really do want to get a spawning pool first. It's a solid decision, I would say, against Qianpone. So maybe playing a little bit more to the players' Taiga and instability. Taiga doesn't really have much of a reputation, but instability definitely doesn't have much of a reputation for being aggressive. At least not super early on in the game. Nothing you'd need a pool first again.
Yeah.
That said, expansion's on the way out for all players, as expected, I'd say. Taiga did go for a Reaper this time, which is going to get promptly eaten.
Oh, no moving. That's the best feeling as Zerg, man. You kill the Reaper with just lings. Slow lings.
Yep, it's a pretty good feeling, especially when you only made 2 slow lings.
Yeah, that's... I don't think I've ever seen that before. Yep.
Yeah, that Reaper kind of wanted to die. I do remember another anecdote, I guess, while we're talking about Taiga's Reapers. Back when we used to play, because we used to play 2v2s back in the heart of the Swarm days, I was the slightly better player. I wasn't nearly as good as I am now, but I was like mid-diamond, maybe low-diamond. And he would make the Reaper, but then he'd give me control, and I'd have to micro the Reaper, because he couldn't. Yeah, he's like, micro the Reaper, I'm not going to remember to do anything else, so...
There you go.
And I don't think it's changed much since then. He makes the Reaper and he sends it across the map to make sure that the enemies spawned in. That's about as much info as he's going to get with that Reaper.
Makes sense.
As we saw there. And I mean, that's what I kind of told him. Like, that's what you got to do at the lower levels whenever you're still just getting used to doing your build. Is it's way more important to make your supply depots and make your units, make your buildings, is to kill a drone or a ling with your Reaper.
Yeah.
And so he's taking that to heart, clearly, right there. So, not too bad. Looks like we're going to have another big push. It's going to be a Marine tank roach push with, like, some speedlings following it up out of Cyan Kitty. And I like this. I think it makes sense. You know, they're trying to get at least one win. And being aggressive in 2v2s has a lot of potential. I mean, the biggest example I think we saw of that was last season where the bottom team in the 2v2s, the blind leading the deaf, beat the winners of the entire thing. 2-0 with just super cheese, right? Like in 2v2s, cheese is extremely potent. It's the great equalizer, really, in 2v2s in particular. But this map is a little rough for it because you do have a conjoined main base and a conjoined 1-ramp natural. That said, no tanks out. There's no shield batteries out. Oh, but there is double disruptor on the ability. So, you know, this may be very ill-fated for Cyan Kitty. I think the fight's going to go very well for the first 30 seconds, and then 2 disruptors are going to be on the map, and it's going to be not nearly as good. Because, I mean, disruptors are just going to be able to zone so hard here. She'll be able to add on shield batteries during that time. We might get a, tanks nearly out for Taiga now. Yeah, disruptor now out. It's going to be a slow push out of Cyan, but, yeah, I mean, a rough spot. 4 Marines do go down to the first disruptor, and that is not what you're looking for here. In go the Stalkers of Instability. Another disruptor coming down. Looking to get more Marines. Does get more Marines. But the tank's doing fairly well here. Where did the tank of Taiga go? Oh, it's on the high ground. Was blocked in. Could not make it down, I guess. Just needs to siege that up at the bottom of the ramp there, and it should be a hold from there. Oh, but a huge disruptor hit from Instability. Very nice. Second tank now out for Taiga as well. I think you just keep that one unsieged and kind of right there. But now, double disruptor, double tank. Kind of an interesting army composition out of Polaris here. Oh, but does lose one of the disruptors here. Sieging up right in range is bold out of Taiga here, but Cyan not scanning for it. I think Taiga completely accidentally just barely scanned that out of vision range. That's not a move he knows how to do, I guarantee you. I think it was just serendipitously happened to happen. And I think we'll be able to see a cleanup here. On the push, that said, there are 2 bases up for both teams still.
And the reinforcements are just a little too slow here for Cyan's team.
Yeah, and I gotta say, big props to Taiga there. He was using the medevac as vision. That's a relatively high-level move to use your medevac to get vision for your tank.
Yeah.
Would not have necessarily expected him to think of that. So very good. I'm not trying to call him stupid or anything. but he's still just at the point of like, I'm learning how to do a 2-on-1 build. So those kind of like on the fly adjustments, I'm always very impressed by.
Yeah.
At this level in particular, that's very cool to see.
If he played
Now, I don't think they're
the
going to
1-on-1 leagues, what do you think he'd be at? Code A?
I think he could get to Code A if he really tried. He'd probably be in Code A right now. He'd just be like the guy who doesn't win a single series, I think. Because I think he's a little bit too good to be Code B, but he's not good enough to beat a lot of the Code A players. That was a good set of disruptors, but there's a lot of army here. Oh, but another disruptor comes in and huge hits! Oh my goodness. And if Instability would back away, I would just recalling. I'm pretty sure you could just walk across the map. Instead, uses the recall. That works as well. And those were huge disruptor shots. I mean, that was so much army going down. Ew. Ew. That's 22 roaches, 2 ravagers, 3 tanks, and 27 marines going down. Relatively even trades, actually, resources-wise. The economy's a good bit better here for Team Polaris, going up to a 3rd base each. They're up 15 to 20 workers on their opponents. And looking pretty solid here. Yeah, I'd say Code A. I might try and get him to try out for it. He's a very, 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 very busy guy. You know those... in college, there's always like the 1 or 2 friends where it's like nigh impossible to get them to ever like hang out because they just have a million things going on. That's Taiga. So even getting him to do the 2v2s, I was kind of surprised by. But maybe we could get him to do the 1v1s. He's really been enjoying the 2v2s thus far, even though they haven't done much yet. But he's really been enjoying it. So maybe we could get him into the Code A or something. We'll see.
Possible, because I mean, FSL, you don't normally play more than just once every 2 weeks. You think about it.
That's true. Yeah, I'll have to ask him about it for next season. I think this season his reasoning was he's got a strange honor code. He's like, I couldn't besmirch you by being your best friend and being as rusty and bad as I am, or something like that. So he's like, I can't ruin your image like that, which I guess fair enough. But he's done a lot of practice, particularly over the summer leading up into this season. He just ground out a bunch of like custom games and stuff on 2-on-1. So maybe he'd feel a little bit more in shape. It'd be cool to see. We can always use more players, obviously. Wink, wink to you in Twitch chat who is thinking of signing up. We can always use more players.
Well, there's been plenty of interest. It's just the understanding that this is a different league, and we have production things where if you commit, we need you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because one person can throw the schedule off quite a bit. They have a lot of power, so to speak. Going into Colossus here is instability, but going into I guess that's Liberators coming out for Cyan. Interesting. This is definitely an army that does not look great against Colossus Disruptor if the Disruptors are well microed. But of course, there's not a whole lot of armies that look too terrible. Paper. Disruptors are one of those units I think that are just super, super strong in the lower leagues because it's so hard to micro against them. And the micro for them is like send out the void, select the void, right-click a unit, you know?
Yeah, although at the lower leagues, using disruptors is a pain because you end up blowing yourselves up.
That's true. It can happen.
I've done that. Even me. I was in Diamond when I started playing with it, and I kept shooting my own guys, and I was like, you know what? Forget this. I'm going back to Colossus.
Yeah. I think we saw just recently in one of the big ESL Cups, I think it was like Showtime or something like that, accidentally blew up like 7 of his own stalkers with a disruptor. So it even happens up there on occasion.
Yeah.
I think you never stop doing it. It's just the difference between a Platinum Protoss and the Grandmaster Protoss is they very rarely hit their own. With the I think Taiga's one of his factories is not making it out. His like tanks are just sliding over to the left and sitting on the left edge of the main base.
Oh yeah, you're right.
There they go. It's just like 3 tanks. I think it was because that one tank was sieged on the ramp from like the push like 5 minutes ago or something.
Yeah. Blocking
all the other tanks in. So now they're making it out. But yeah, disruptors are definitely hard to micro. But I think they're very hard to dodge, particularly with Roach Ravager.
This is a much better game for Kitty Cat Cyan. Although they're throwing away a lot of their units. With an
Yeah, again, a
ill-advised
bit of a
attack.
disjointed attack, and Cyan coming around the top side. Well, Kitty Cat's coming around the bottom side, so his army's not there as early on as he'd like to be. And
tanks,
the
too.
army of
Oh my
Taiga standing strong. Oh my goodness. That was... Oof. I mean, they were more in sync, which was good, but I think their armies were much better on paper in the first game. But looks like GG is called.
Both games were doable, but let's bring him in.
Yeah. Quick.
All right. You know, both games, Cyan Kitty had a chance to win. Actually, pretty good stuff. It's just typical team game stuff, right? Not being together. What do you think, Cyan?
Yeah, I think our opening pushes, and I think they held it really good, but we also probably outstayed our welcome in both of them, and then not scouting too. If I see the Colossus, probably make more Vikings. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely had chances to win there. You weren't as guaranteed to lose as you thought. I really think you had chances, especially in the beginning of game 1, and then in game 2, your supplies got pretty close to, and you almost broke him again with a tank push. So, Kitty Cat, how did that feel?
Sorry, what did you say?
How did that game feel for you?
It felt good, but like at the same time not.
Yeah, you guys looked like you had a chance to win, but then of course you ended up losing towards, especially that big ball attack. ET, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like KJ said, game number 1 was super duper close. It's just the Mutalisk barely holding there, and then that second push. I mean, with how close Cyan came, I think, to breaking the 2 armies of Polaris there, been a little bit more in sync. And I think that's what we were talking about a little bit. Is like you have your initial push, which is the adept Ling thing. That was like perfectly in sync and lockstep with each other. Once that's over, it gets much harder to be like on the fly planning to go in together and things like that. So a little bit disjointed there. Still almost pulled it out. Game number 2. I mean, those are just some of the world's... Instability just really likes to hold pushes with Robo Bay units, I guess, or like all ins with Robo Bay pushes. It's like the world's fastest disruptors.
Yeah, I knew she saw, because her probe was up there, so I knew she knew what we were doing. But I was really surprised to see the disruptors out right then and there.
Yeah, it's reminiscent of when she held like the proxy 4x against Mazel with a Colossus in her first season playing. I guess that's just the instability style. But game number 2, yeah, that second push, I think some of your units wound up pathing around over the top instead of directly in with Kitty Cat Gamer. So map features hurting there a little bit. Yeah, the Mutalists, I think y'all did a very good job of holding though in game 1. Like the Mutas, I think that was the main reason y'all almost won, because you were pretty far behind, but then you took almost no damage to the Mutalists. So very well done there. Big props. I think in team maps especially, it's very hard to hold Mutas. So well done overall. And then I guess we can talk to Polaris a little bit. Game 1, obviously you almost got broken. Were you about ready to tap out there at points in that first push, or did you feel like you were like, I can hold this, I just need to get this up? Instability.
Well, when I saw the stalkers, I did kind of panic, because I was like, oh, it's just adepts and lings. Nothing can stop the Mutalisks. And then a bunch of stalkers came up, and I was like, oh, that's it. We're gonna die. But somehow, he managed to kill all of the stalkers before the Mutalisks even got out. I'm not sure how, or I guess I didn't see it, but that definitely saved us.
Yeah, I think it was the glorious power of siege tanks that we've seen on occasion. And then game 2, I guess the disruptors were they purely reactive, or was that kind of the plan all along?
I was planning on going into disruptors, but it was mainly reactive because I normally get them around my third base timing. Obviously not before my Twilight Council. So, yeah, I never would have gotten them out anywhere near that early if I hadn't scouted it.
Right, absolutely. And like I said, I guess you like to hold super all-ins with RoboBay units, which it's worked out for you both times you've done it. So well done overall. Caliber C, how do you feel about that series overall? Feel pretty satisfied with your play, or feeling a little rusty? How was it?
Well, the first game was definitely a couple of weaknesses in my micro. Small mistakes like the siege tank was sitting too far forward. But the second game, I was much more satisfied with how I was handling micro in some aspects.
Yeah, I gave you props during the cast actually a little bit. You're using the medevac to get vision of cyan siege tanks with your siege tanks, since obviously they have more range than they have vision, which was a pretty clever move out of you. So definitely some nice micro in game number 2. Yeah, game number 1, the siege tanks were definitely sitting a little far up, but that's okay. It happens on occasion. You live and you learn, I suppose.
Oh yeah.
Well, all right. I think that's all my questions. KJ, do you have anything else for our players here?
No, not really. Just nice job, guys. Look, Cyan, Kitty, you guys did have a decent shot. So, I know you guys in the beginning said, yeah, we probably won't win. But imagine the mentality of, yes, we're going to win and take it away from them. You never know. That could have been the difference.
What we were hoping for, so
That's
good
right.
luck
And,
to y'all the rest of the season.
Yep. And, of course, Polaris looking pretty strong. We'll see how they do the rest of the... this is a good season to be a 2v2 team because it's all wide open, right, ET?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we have the winners of either of the first 2 seasons still in as the team. We have a couple people, but they've like split off to other teams.
Yeah,
like
it's a
Neutrophil.
new season.
I'm not sure that we have Regret and
yeah, they're not there.
the Arcade at all. I don't think they're in.
Nope.
So
Nope.
there's no reigning champions in this
No
season.
reigning champions. Wide open for everyone. Season's still early enough. So, all right, guys. Good seeing you guys. Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So now, ET.
We're
our
moving
final,
into
the final one.
The lead event.
The main event.
title
So yeah, we're still showing the maps, but the main event is Code S, JMPZ, and Ghost Chant, who have they've already done their map selections. There you go. So let's bring them in. Let's get going.
I think we have to give them each +1 series win for doing their map vetoes without us having to remind them like
early. That's right. Okay, so we have JMPZ here. We're still waiting for Ghost Chant, but
he just joined.
oh, there you go. Ghost Chant's here.
Well.
There you go. We just need him on the camera, and then we're good to go. But let's start with Mr. JMPZ here.
So JMPZ, you obviously first season here. You've been looking stronger and stronger, I would say, throughout each series. I think your last opponent was Instability. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
And looked pretty solid there. How are you feeling in tonight's match, going up against a Terran player?
I guess better every week. I was pretty weak week 1, but I feel more confident playing. I'm working on the little things. I'm watching a few more streams, trying to put in some more hours. So hopefully the hard work pays off.
Perfect. All right. And Ghost Chant, I think this is your first match back this season. How are you feeling? Did you get some good practice in over the off season, or a little bit more rusty, maybe coming back into things?
You can hear me, right?
Yeah, we
Yes,
can
sir.
hear you. Just no camera yet, so we're just waiting for that.
It has been a trying past 3 weeks. I haven't gotten quite as much play time as I wanted to, and when I have played, I have lost terribly. Do not underestimate how much the mental affects your gameplay, and it's been a stressful month. So.
Understandable, absolutely. Well, hopefully you can still have some good games today. Obviously, a pretty strong Terran player in past seasons. How do you feel about JMPZ as a player? It looks like he's going to be playing Zerg, at least initially. How do you feel about your TVZ overall?
You know, before this losing streak, I would have said I feel great. I'd have been like, yeah, I got like a 78% win rate against like 3.8, 3.9, 4K players. And then I think I've dropped like 600 MMR in the past like 3 weeks. So I don't know now. I couldn't tell you.
He's been
Well,
doing.
that makes
He's
sense.
been doing Hellbat rushes. ET. That's what's been happening.
Been going through it a little bit. Well, I understand that feel for sure. Well, hopefully you can, you know, get into the groove a little bit tonight. You got at least 2 games to kind of get there. So, you know, keep your head up. You've obviously been a strong player in past seasons, and I think you got a good chance tonight as well. KJ, do you have any final words or questions for our players here?
You know, JMPZ has been hard at work. I know Ghost Chant is not a slacker. So, you know, we'll see how they really execute. I'm not quite sure, you know. So one's on the trajectory going up mentally, the other one's on the trajectory going down. So we will see. I really have no idea, but good luck to both of you.
Thank you. The goal tonight is to win at least one map. I can't get O2'd again, please.
There you go. All right.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and have we'll go ahead and mute you guys up, and then we will hop into game. Good luck. Good luck.
All right, they're no longer on the chat. What do you really think? You have to pick one.
I think I'd give it to Ghost Chant. It's hard to say because I haven't actually seen JMPZ play versus a tank player. So
yeah,
we'll see.
So 2-1
sure
Ghost Chant, huh? Or 2-0?
Yeah, I think 2-1. It's like I said, JMPZ's been on the up and up a little bit over the last couple series he's played, and Ghost Chant, he said he wasn't feeling too good about that. I'm gonna go 2-1 Ghost.
All right, and I kind of agree with that. So we'll see what happens.
All right, we're loading it. In the bottom right-hand side, we get the pink Zerg player. He is
JMPZ.
And his opponent in the top left-hand side, we got the yellow Terran. He is
Ghost Chant.
And yeah, hopping in. So ZVT, a proud favorite, I'd say. I'd say probably the most iconic matchup in StarCraft 2, obviously.
Yeah.
Probably just for the simple fact of bug aliens versus humans. You know,
oh, that's true. That's true.
A classic even outside of StarCraft 2.
Starship Troopers style.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely a classic. And yeah, JMPZ, I mean, it's just going to depend, right? I mean, I think in his first series in particular, he didn't look terribly great, but he's been improving rapidly. And against Instability, he looked quite strong. Yeah. Although that is a tough thing to say as well, because we've seen Instability so little against Zerg, because in the last 2 seasons she's played in, besides Frieden, who'd get Zerg every now and then as random, I don't think she played a single Zerg besides Dark Minute. So you don't get as much of a benchmark for her, but I think she still has a pretty strong PVZ. So looking good there at least. But TVZ and PVZ are 2 whole different ball games, really. I mean, everyone at the top level likes to say TVZ is just mechanics. That's all. That's all there is to it, right?
Yeah,
who has the better mechanics?
You say that.
I don't know that I agree much.
Style. Yeah, if you do dark style, then all bets are off, right?
Yeah, true. Although they also say that the only person who can do dark style is dark, and only on like Wednesdays, basically. So we'll have to see.
So let me tell you something about JMPZ. What I noticed. Ooh, we got something early, and he spots this right away. One thing I noticed while he handles this bunker harassment, the first series, like you said, he didn't make enough drones. He looked really, really off, right? He didn't look sharp at all. In the next series, he droned so much, and he looked really good, but he never scouted. So we'll see what this one means for us. I mean, he's obviously paying attention now.
That SC Von Micro was so unfortunate there to start for Ghost Chant, but
my
we'll be able to get it off, which is nice. And
this is a pain.
I mean, yeah, and you gotta, at this level, getting thrown off hurts a lot more than a lot of other MMRs or play tiers, right? So this is such a big throw off for JMPZ here, and Ghost Chant, he's just getting into his command center behind it. I think
Oh, he's not really
not the most
committing,
damage, no.
Yeah,
It's hard to do in ZVZ, or ZVT that is. It's not really a thing like it is in PVT.
Yeah.
It can work, but not too bad out of JMPZ overall. I mean, he
Yeah.
didn't make like a ton of lings and just freak out and lose his mind. He still made his third base. He's adding on his extra queens. I think that's a really good defense overall.
It is. It is. He only lost one Zergling.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. Still got his ling speed going. Really nothing missing except the creep spread, but he does have a lot of energy to start dropping those tumors.
He
and
also got
is
his third
indeed
base,
like that.
man, which is
Yeah.
huge. Like, he didn't care.
Yeah,
He's
that
like,
was
whatever, I'll put it down.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of details to be worrying about right at that point in the game, you know, getting your ling speed, adding your queen, adding your third base, everything like that, and he really didn't miss any of those while also dealing with something you very rarely deal with at a match. So, excellently done out of JMPZ, to be honest.
Great start. He's got a fast layer, too.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what he's planning out of that one, as he does have ling speed now. Ghost Chance coming across with the Hellions, but with Zergling speed out, should be able to clean those up fairly well. Does have just a few speedlings, and imagine we'll see more on the way shortly. Goes back in with the Reaper, does lose it,
Oh,
unfortunately.
that's not a good
Obviously,
move.
not game ending, but the Reaper can be very handy if you try to dive in Hellions in a couple minutes. You know, once you have like 6 or something, just that one grenade on the queens can make all the difference. So definitely not something you are happy to lose.
Yeah, JMPZ just needs to hold that drone key. He's not really doing it.
Yeah, we're at 12 larva at the moment. He's making 4 overlords. I think he just got mega supply blocked.
Ah, there you go.
I think maybe dealing with the or sees the Hellions, you freak out a little bit. You're trying to make sure all your defenses are in place, and you forget that supply count is a thing for a minute.
Yep.
Does have his lair out now. Looks like it's just going to be for a very, very fast Baneling speed, maybe, which is
Yeah,
a
yeah, I
very good
agree.
choice.
I agree with that. That's probably what it is. I'm telling
Cloak
you, that's what I
Banshee's
do.
on right now.
ET, I've been streaming lately, and he's been watching my streams, and this is what I like to do: get a fast Baneling speed. So, but although he did click on it.
Yeah, does get the Spore Crawler just a little bit late. A nice Liberator Siege up out of Ghost Chant. Will get at least a couple drones, maybe even a Queen as well. Oh, the Queen does not pull over, but 5 drones going down is very nice for him there. And the Hellions looking to come in on the other side if the Queens get distracted. They did not, but they're still going to dive in, it looks like. And the Queens did not chase super quickly. 3 Hellions can one-shot drones if you target fires. 7, 8 workers, could be 9 or even maybe 10. Not quite 9 workers, though, for 4 Hellions. Gets out with the Liberator, loses some mining time. That's very good. That's a very good Liberator Hellion, I'd say, overall.
Yeah, lots of harassment. Hey, he's dealing with here.
Yeah, Ghost Chance really throwing it at him. Looking very... I mean, this is a lot of harassment for Kodas, I'd say.
ET, we got mech.
Yeah, Ghost Chant, I think we've seen him pull that out in some other matchups. That's the other thing as well, is I talk about with instability, but it's true of everyone, is like, we don't actually see that much anything versus Zerg, and the Code S in particular, because there's only 1 or 2 Zergs. So you don't really, we barely know most of the players' styles against a Zerg player. And it looks like it's going to be mech for Ghost Chant, at least in game 1, and be very, very strong indeed. Creep spread looking pretty solid, though, here for JMPZ, I'd say. Does cloak up. There is a Spore Crawler, though, to retreat back to. Just kind of kiting against the Hellions here. Does get another Queen. Ooh, JMPZ, you got to kind of stay around the Spore Crawlers or get up an Overseer, and loses another Queen. Now there's Cyclones coming in, although without Hellions, they're not going to do very well against the Lings. Maybe you like to see those just run away, but he's putting on the pressure here. This reminds me a little bit of Pig's mech style. Pig just likes to go like super duper aggressive, get like blue flame, and just pour units across the map the entire game, never stop. And I think this is reminiscent of that. And I mean, he's doing all right so far. Keeps the Cyclones alive as well, but needs to run away. These units are all so low. Oh my goodness. Okay, does clean up some more Hydras, though. This is going so well for Ghost Chant. Poor JMPZ, he can't spend his money right now. He's lost so many Queens, he can't really inject super well. That said, yeah, only 5 larvae on the map. He's not started his upgrades, and man, he's fallen apart a little bit here. I mean, this is some heavy aggression out of Ghost Chant, though, who is floating a ton of money as well. Both players are just floating so much.
Yeah.
I think we should see a couple extra factories, maybe. I think 5. Yeah, there we go, actually. 2 more factories now on the way.
And 2 command
And
centers.
adding on double command center. When in doubt, that is one of the nice things. That's one of my favorite things about playing Terran in like team games. It's like, if you have extra money, you're just like, command centers. I just make more command centers. I'll have like 1,000 scans. It's like the most enjoyable money dump of all time. That said, it does lose a Banshee, maybe? Not quite. JMPZ does pull back.
Yeah,
but the 4th base gets
more
denied.
braces. He needs more hatcheries, man. Just spam 2, 3 of them.
Yeah, a good denial out of Ghost Chant, but his army is looking very small at the moment, I will say.
Crap, there's 2 more.
Struggling to spend his money. That's what I was saying. I do it in team games because that's where I play, but it's like, it's so nice. You're just like, oh, I have like 1,500 extra minerals. I just make a couple command centers. Now I have mules, now I have scans. It's very nice. But you do have to get up to that point where you can actually use those minerals. Otherwise, they're still just dead weight.
Big F2 here.
Yeah, good continued harassment out of Ghost Chant. He's playing fast. I mean, he said he wasn't feeling too good, but he's looking good. And even just sniping Hydralis, this is like styles play, you know? Very nice. I mean, there's so many opportunities to do that. Oh, yeah. He's coming across right as he goes across. That means he's going to lose his 3rd base. Oh, no. Uh-oh. Ghost Chant, I think he just got to dive and give up the base here. Or give up the army for the base, maybe, at this point. But isn't going to get the base. A mistake out of Ghost Chant. And Magfield just finishes up. That base would have been dead in like a quarter of the time if he'd had Magfield for that. So unfortunate. Still does force the pullback, but now he's down 40 supply. That was a lot of units to lose here. And yeah, I think he really should have just committed for the base. I guess there's not really... You aren't really expecting the Zerg army to come from behind you there, so he just starts to pull back, and then suddenly there's a ton of circling.
That was F2, man. F2 helped him that time. It did a natural surround because he was attacking with the Lings.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe not expecting that as Ghost Chant, but that's a lot of units to lose and not even get the base. Very unfortunate.
Well, there was a clutch transfuse there too by JMPZ, so he saved it.
There was. That was very good for sure. But yeah, I mean, if the Magfield accelerator is done there, it makes you depressed watching Magfield Cyclones lock onto your hatchery.
Oh yeah.
Feels like you could have a 200 supply army 5 feet away, and you're still losing that hatchery. So, still, he does come in with some Hellions. No Blue Flame yet, though, which I gotta say, that's another little bit of a mistake there. Blue Flame, super good with this harass. I mean, this is like, you could get so many more drones here. Still, 4 drones, not too bad. Maybe sneak in some more Cyclones in there later on. And, well, right there, I think Ghost Chant kind of realized it. It's one of those things. Wait, that's not the right attack out of those Hellions, and does start up Blue Flame. Slowing it down, though, now. He's swapping into Slow Mech from Battle Mech, just adding on Siege Tanks, adding on Hellbats. And JMPZ is going for the Lurker defense.
He's going to need Lair or Hive.
Yeah, you're going to need the Hive, get those Vipers up. It's so hard to micro this composition against the tanks as well. You got to be really careful here. But it's got a good economy up at this point. We'd definitely like to see a 5th base or so come up. But, quite yet. Does come in, gets another drone, looking to maybe get that Queen as well, but Queen does pull back. 2-2 for the Ling here, coming in for JMPZ as well.
JMPZ's settling down, man. I think he's settling down a bit.
Yeah, he's looking good at this point, but this is the kind of army where you max out, and then it's very easy to just run in and lose this army 2 or 3 times in a row against tanks. And then you're not looking so good. So we'll have to see how he does, because he's defended, but he's not done much on the other side of the map. The only time he was thinking of doing something was when he wound up F2ing back against attack on his 3rd base.
Yeah.
So no damage on the other side of the map just yet. But I mean, he does have double the army supply. Excellent. Just so good out of Ghost Chain here. Even just denies the 5th base there real quick with that Banshee. JMPZ is going to go across the map now. Here he comes in. Not all the tanks are sieged up. The Hellions are not in front of the tanks. He really needs those to be Hellbats. Still, does force the pullback. That's a deep line of tanks.
Yeah.
That does have to pull back there. I mean, yeah, just another 5 tanks back behind that. There's the Hellions as well.
Yeah, if he only looked up above, he could have killed that base.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. This one Banshee is going to be the savior of Terran here. We do now see the 5th base a little bit slow, but nothing too bad. We're seeing a lot of extra turrets get added on, more and more tanks, Hellions, upgrades on the way for Ghost Chant, who's adding on 2 more command centers to go up to a grand total of 5 orbitals, 3 planetaries. It's going to be 7 orbitals once those 2 finish up. That's a lot of muling that you can do, and a lot of scanning, and just having information as mech helps a lot. You can help position your army a little bit further in advance. I'd like to see some watchtowers, though, here, I'd say. Mech, being able to just get as much info about your opponent's moves as possible is very nice.
Yeah. Unfortunately, JMPZ is just now going to check the top middle.
Yeah, I think he can. I think he still can. There's no tanks there. I mean, Ghost Chant hasn't really moved out to defend this base. It's just a planetary, and that's it.
Just that, you know.
2 will come in. He's got the Banelings. Yeah, I think this base. Yeah, it's true. And now at this point, there's another base in the bottom left, taking up the mining.
Not a bad fight, though.
Instead. Not too bad, but the more he pushes this, the worse it's going to get, I think. So good. Yeah, needs to pull back, and does indeed, right at the perfect time, pretty much.
Okay, well, less gas for Ghost
Even
Chant.
trades. Yeah.
He needs the gas right now, so that's why it's important to get that to lift.
Yeah, it doesn't quite kill that command center. Is very unfortunate because now the mining can just start right back up. But yeah, 11,000 resources lost for both players. That's good to see as a Zerg player against mech. Kind of hoping to trade more efficiently than the mech. The problem is, the closer and closer the Ghost Chant gets to max out, the worse and worse this army is going to get for JMPZ. And I'm not seeing a step beyond this, right? Like, there's no Vipers coming in. There's not Brood Lord tech starting up. It's just adding on Lurker upgrades. But once there's 8 tanks in every base, just running into Lingbane Lurker probably isn't going to work. It could. You might get it. You know, it happens sometimes, but it's going to be tough. He may be able to. He's got to push in soon, though. As it looks like Ghost Chant's thinking about going into battle cruisers. Raven.
Ravens. And then...
Yeah, interesting. Obviously, at the top level, the in-style thing is the famous Maru Ghost Tank Liberator, which is...
Oh, look at this F2 move to the
once
left,
he gets
man.
to it, it's disgusting. Oh, yeah. Coming over to the left, and there's not tanks here. Look at this, though, out of Ghost Chant. I mean, I got to criticize this a little bit. There's like 10 tanks sitting in between the bases, but there's no tanks at the base.
Yep,
like
these,
if 4 of those tanks were down here, it'd be so much harder to push in, but he's not really spreading those tanks out like he should be. He's starting to move over now, and because JMPZ is being a little slow about it, he might be able to get these tanks set up.
He backed off.
I think you kind of just
even
assume the tanks are going to be there.
Yeah, but I think it'll work out okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to continue pushing in. Still, though, the further in he goes, the more and more tanks there are. It's going to be... I don't think he can push past this point, maybe. And feels kind of the same way. It's going to have to pull back. Doesn't kill the command center yet again.
Yeah, not in
Cleaning up the SDVs is nice, but Ghost Chant has 5 orbitals still. So that's like a lot of mutables. You don't care too much about the SCVs as long as you've got your gas money. He does. But yeah, it's still just 62 Ling remax. And basically what's happening here is JMPZ gets a good pick on a base because there's no tanks there. Yeah, he's not sure what to do here.
This is the bane of F2ing. It's like the dance.
Yep. Oh, and now because of the F2, there's a Banshee just getting free lurkers. But yeah, it seems like what's happening is Ghost Chant doesn't realize that he needs to protect the base until JMPZ attacks it, and then he protects it, and JMPZ can't really push in. But that's only going to work for so long. Like I said, the army's not getting better.
Yeah.
He's getting upgrades on it. He's got 3-3, but like 3-3 Lings isn't really important when there's Hellbats on the field or Hellions on the field with Blue Flame, right? Like, they're just going to get cleaned up. That said, this is a sizable army, but that's pushing into such a tight choke point. We'll be able to clean up 1 planetary, it looks like. The Mule Hammer does come down, but a moment too late.
One thing I'll say this, man. Look, there's a gas problem right now for Ghost Chant. If JMPZ takes that top base, no gas mining there, right? He's dependent.
It's very
his army.
true.
Yeah, so he can do this. And JMPZ has map control with all these fast links. He's got all the upgrades. It's not terrible right now for JMPZ if he can kill this base on the top.
Right. Very true.
Oh,
But the
two
flip side of
BCs.
that is, if he can't kill this base, that might just be game over. Like,
Yeah.
he's starting to trade more and more inefficiently. He was even like 5 minutes ago. Now he's down 3,000 resources.
And
Battle
here's the
cruisers are
F2
going to start
back.
coming in. Yep, through tank fire this time as well.
Oh, can't decide. Can't decide what to do. This is really odd, man. When he's dealing with battle cruisers, he makes these spores. He goes there first to attack, and then he says, let me just make spores and then go back to where I was.
Yeah, a little odd. A big anti-armor missile on the Hydralisks will help out there. But yeah, this is the thing as well with the whole you have to kill this base is Ghost Chance enhancing his army every minute. He's starting to go into battle cruisers now so he can deal damage on the other side of the map, and battle cruisers can trade super efficiently because they can pretty much always blink out as long as you're not asleep at your desk. JMPZ is not doing that. So if he doesn't kill here, he's just going to slowly fall farther and farther behind in the composition battle. It's ongoing as the upgrades as well are starting to catch up for Ghost Chant. Obviously, you can only get so far ahead on the upgrades, and then eventually you have 3-3, and you can't get any more upgrades, which means eventually that upgrade advantage is going to not exist anymore. That said, it's still a solid army, but man, just some Vipers would make this so much easier for him. Ghost Chant trading out, and again, we do see the blinks. This is this excellent trading capability he's got. Kills some Hydras. Oh, but does lose the BC.
Yeah, he
That is very, oh, it's because he was going in on the other side, looking to get some drone damage, kill a queen, maybe even. Not quite. Not quite. 6 drones though, for a battle cruiser, maybe not super worth it, but still, it's 25,500 resources lost now to 19,000. So the gap continues to grow here. And, more and more tanks on the way now as well. Definitely feels a little spread out. Still only at 160 supply, but JMPZ now does not have that bank to where he just... Yeah, he has to commit, but this is the problem now you're seeing is like JMPZ for a while there, it was just like, oh, I lost my army, I can instantly max out again. It's not that way anymore. Now he's got a couple hundred minerals in the bank. He's eking his way towards a max out. He does not have a huge bank, which means if he loses this army and does not deal a lot of damage with it, he's going to fall very far behind. That said,
the first thing I'd
could
say
deal a
for
lot
him,
of damage.
unbind that F2 button. Once in a while, you'll get lucky with a surround, a mystery surround, but look at this.
Neither player has noticed yet, I guess. Okay. Oh, he is adding on Corruptors, but I think that's just to deal with the battle cruisers, which the Hydras already kind of do. And really, adding on Corruptors here is only good if you're not going to F2 them with the rest of your army.
There it is. Oh no, he's getting set now. Ghost Chant finally gets this super protective.
Oh, and a huge anti-armor missile as well. I will say Ghost Chant needs to learn how to morph those Hellions into Hellbats. On the defense, it would be very, very, very nice if those were Hellbats. But still, I think JMPZ is trying to go with the mine a base or two of Ghost Chant's strategy at this point, which could work technically. But I think he's getting into that a little bit too late. We need to start mining after. He looks on the left and there's nothing there. And now the battle cruiser is going in. Or no, sorry, just Hellions, but still. Hellions killing a bunch of workers here as well. Oh man. Blue Flame Hellbats with +3. One-shot Lings, by the way, if you weren't aware. And yeah, cleans up all the Lings and Banelings. We'll lose those eventually, but 14 workers, a bunch of Ling Bane. I think that's a trade that Ghost Chant's happy to make, who is now maxed out and banking money on a 5-base setup with a lot of orbital commands, adding on more upgrades, adding on more battle cruisers. We're going to see JMPZ peter out here. And I think you can really kind of see the exact problem with this game, which is he has 6,000 gas in the bank. The only way you can do that is if you're not making end-game units like Broodlords and Infestors, Vipers, and Corruptors and things like that. You're making Bane Hydra, yeah, you can wind up with no minerals and 7,000 gas, but it's It's not that way if you have an in-game comp. That said, he is trying to go into Brood Lords. However, don't know that it's gonna work. It might be a little bit too late here. No. Overcoming the F2, it looks like a little bit, which is good. Starting to move the Hydras separately from the Broodlord Corruptor.
Ghost Chance killed so many workers simply because the army is always in one place, rather than you leave a few for defense.
Oh
And
gosh,
the
and
army
James.
is in one place because there it is. He does it again. That's just the F2 thing, right? So the first thing I would do, JMPZ, unbind your F2. Period. Because look at that. Now he leaves his base again. Send a couple. So it's like a ping pong scenario.
Yep. And when Ghost Chance sees all this coming down here, he may not do this, but he should just go, oh, send Hellions to the top right then.
Yeah, the whole Broodlords are all going down just for some Hellions. And they are slow. Broodlords are super slow.
Yep, I mean, they barely even made it halfway across the map for that. And the Hellions are already... No real reason to have them over there. But yep, here we go. Another set of Hellions coming in. Going to distract, potentially. There's a lot of spores, but there's no spines, which means the 3 Hellbats should be able to get a good amount of work done here. That said, I mean, Broodlords are a scary unit with no ghosts out.
The whole army going down to chase the 3 Hellbats. Even the Broodlords, like, I want part of that action.
Oh my gosh, and he's making so many Broodlords at this point that he's not going to have enough anti-air to deal with the battle cruisers, I feel like.
Yeah.
And now there's Hellions in the bottom left. He's probably going to go down there to deal with those, and on the circle of life goes, I guess. It looks like he's going to trade out a bunch of Hydras maybe into the army here to try and maybe make more Corruptors, I would guess. Does trade some out, and indeed we see more and more Corruptors coming in. I will say, just pure battlecruiser, you want to add in, I don't know, does he still have his Raven? He does not have a Raven. A Raven makes such a huge difference in Corruptor versus battlecruiser fights because of that anti-armor missile. Opponent armor does so much against battlecruisers because they have such a rapid attack.
JMPC needs
and
to
just Vikings would be good here.
I don't know what he's doing, going back down again. Oh, he's going back down for the 4-5 aliens. He's just got to go. He keeps going back and forth the whole map. And now he's finally getting time.
Yeah, I think he's come to that conclusion now, but he's going to lose both Spires, which means this is all the air army he's going to get for the next while. Ghost Chant trying to warp away, but misclicks, which means he will lose a lot of the battlecruisers here. This is what I was saying, is you need that anti-armor missile or Vikings or
Corruptors,
something.
Man. This is a nice number of Broodlords and Corruptors.
Yeah, Ghost Chant, I think not getting the composition he needed here. He had a lot of time. I mean, he's seen this switch coming for days now, basically. And still only making battlecruisers now. We starts to make Thors, but it's like, well, if you knew that Thors were good against Corruptors, why haven't we been making Thors, you know? At this point. And the one hero battlecruiser in the top right. Yeah, I think he's gonna clean it up. Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Despite the F2. Amazing comeback there.
Yeah, like I said, Ghost Chant had all the time in the world to figure out a composition to deal with the battlecruisers, or not the battlecruisers, but the Broodlord Corruptor, but just kept making VCs. I think you need Vikings or a Raven or two with the Vikings, some ghosts maybe, stuff like that, and didn't have those.
That's frustrating, because Ghost Chant was, he was like getting straight A's the whole season, and then in the final, right? Imagine the final, he misses the final. He doesn't even get an F. He like completely misses the final and then fails the course.
Yep.
That's basically
sleeps through it. Unfortunate. Yeah, and it's like, I feel like there were probably moments he could have pushed out, with bigger army push. With mech, if you're going for that tank Hellion, you hit a certain point where you should just start doing the slow push across the map. But not quite doing that. It does wind up costing there. Which Means
All
we'll
right.
go to game number 2 with JMPZ up 1-0 for the first time in his career. So
That's
it'll
right.
be a pretty good feeling there. Let me host up the map real quick, and we'll be able to hop game number 2. Still, though, not a game where you go, Ghost Chant doesn't have a chance. He definitely has a chance. He just has to have a bit clearer of a win condition, I think, than he did in that game.
Yeah. JMPZ, despite a whole, it's like the class analogy I was trying to do. In class, he was getting B's, C's, and then he gets an A in the final and wins. That's amazing. Although,
Yeah.
SC2 is not about like the average. It's whoever wins at the very end.
It's true. It's all about getting the other player to leave or killing all their stuffs.
Yeah.
So. All right. We are ready to hop into game here. It's going to be Data C. It's game number 2. We'll say Data C and even... Oh.
May have
We'll have to pause at the start of the game.
Starts. Yep.
Did not read that at first, so we'll just pause once we get into the game with the countdown. But, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, Data C, a very, very good map on 4 bases. Because mech is all about, really. We saw that kind of in the, from the Sidestorm Cup, Vindicta versus Patty map. PV. It's a little different, but, it's just so hard to break 4 base players in this map because there's such tight choke points. Can be spread in great ways. Yeah, definitely a tough spot.
Game resumed.
All right. In the top right-hand side of Data C, we have the yellow Terran player. He is
Ghost Chant.
And his opponent up 1-0, the pink Zerg in the bottom left. He is
JMPZ.
So congrats to him getting his first win. And he did improve. It's just the F2 part of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's it's a tough habit break. Very button.
it's a great button. You just gotta adjust the spite of it. For 80% of my SC2 playing career, I was using F2 a lot. But I knew that it would drag forces, so I had ways of compensating for that, right? Which he didn't do at all. He didn't compensate. They just all went, period. So, that's the thing. Like, you can burrow, keep them in there, right? Morph the banelings, and then they stay put, that kind of thing. There's a lot of things you can compensate, but still, it's a crutch, right? Or it's not a crutch. What do you call it? It's something really holding you back. Ball and chain.
Yeah, I guess. Tripping.
So I still think 2-1 Ghost Chant, unless I think he narrowly lost that game. I feel like it. He just kind of didn't switch, and he's like, "Oh, what did they do?"
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he looked pretty strong defensively. Had some good offense harassment as well. I think maybe focusing a little bit too much on the harassment in the early game, because it did feel a little bit like maybe, he got damage, but he also did some self-damage, so to speak, if like his macro wasn't the cleanest at home. So like he did wind up, I mean, there was a point where it was like 110 supply to 200, even after all the damage that's been, even with mech. That's not really supposed to be the case. You're down in supply, yes, but you're not down 90 supply.
Yeah.
So maybe sacrificing a little bit of his own macro to do that damage. Got to be careful of as well, obviously. Be looking to get that SCV, but it will make out safely. to third base as well, and getting link speed down. So,
Hey,
yeah, I
ET.
definitely could say could go either way. Yeah.
One thing I did notice was he had 5 or 6 battle cruisers, but he wasn't really going on the side attacking with them, and then you know what I mean? He wasn't really using them the way they're supposed to be done, right?
Yeah, that's definitely the hardest part, is actually going out and doing stuff with them. I felt like he was focusing more on the Hellions, even once he had the battle cruisers up, and maybe including those in. You know, you hit with the battle cruisers. Once you have 6 or 7 battle cruisers, you can even do the kind of thing where you force them to go all the way down to that bottom left base, and then once they're there, you snuck around into their main base and you just snipe their hive with the battle cruisers and like an auto a bunch or something. So there's a lot you can do, but it's very hard to include that. And at this level, you know, I feel like a lot of times it's either you don't get to that point because you win, or you don't get to that point because you lose. So it's hard to get practice. Very, very scenario.
Unless he's doing
So,
it as a
maybe just not
secret.
as used to it.
As a secret. Hey, check it out! I got a lot of battle cruisers. And it's like, oh.
Yeah, it's true. Might have been wanting to surprise there as well. Is he looking for some stuff? Link, able to find anything just yet? Maybe that Hellion Liberator once again. I don't know how I feel as well about it. It's funny because I did get a lot of damage, so I guess it was worth it, but I feel like Liberator Banshee is not the best idea because Liberator already kind of forces out 1 or 2 spores at minimum. You really optimally don't want them to have spores if you're going for Banshees. So it's like you should either just go into the Banshees or maybe go Viking Banshee, I know is something that people do.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Going into the Liberator and then Cloaked Banshees, you're kind of forcing the opponent to have protection for your Banshees.
But he went 2 Banshees early, right?
He went for a Liberator before the 2 Banshees.
Before the 2 Banshees, he had 1 Liberator.
Yeah, because it went into the main base. It got like a couple kills on drones and stuff like that. And then he did go into the Banshees, and they got damaged, but it's only because JMPZ just like walked away from the spores, right?
Yeah.
Queens.
Yeah, here it is
and he
again.
wasn't able to get damage on the drones because there were spores.
Deja vu.
Yep, sieging up. Good siege up spot as well. Comes in with the Hellions. 2, 3, 4 workers do go down.
A little better.
Yeah, definitely. And does try and catch the Hellions, but the Hellions get some good damage. 6 drones as well, because he does go back to mining, and he still makes it out. So that's very nice. 6 drones, handful of ling. Good damage there, and he's going into bio this time around rather than mech.
Huh. He's like, forget this mech stuff. It's too slow.
Yeah, a bit of a multifaceted individual, it would seem. We'll have to see how his bio stacks up against the mech. I mean, JMPC was basically playing versus bio there with his composition. Hydraling Bane, getting the
true.
+1, +2 melee upgrades. It's like, you do that against bio. He's not really going to have to change much about his plan here, basically. Just go for Lingbane Hydra again into Lurkers, and that's going to be completely valid against bio. It's almost more valid against bio than it is against mech.
It is,
mech
yeah.
More hosts and roaches and ravagers and stuff like that.
And he feels better. Think about it. He's warmed up now.
Yeah.
He's
Feels
not
better.
gonna
You're
be-
probably almost... Yeah, you should be more used to playing against bio than mech, unless you play just like ladder really screws with you and gives you nothing but mech players. But in theory, you're probably more used to playing against bio. And I think on average, bio is less tilting than mech, and definitely very frustrating once there are like 12 teams out.
Yep.
How do I ever break into this? So bio, I think is going to be better play against JMPZ, but it's going to be Widow Mines, and you know, Widow Mines versus F2, not always a pretty sight.
Ooh. Yeah, in that game, there was only one time F2 actually helped, and that was with the accidental surround.
Yep, absolutely. Upgrade's a little slow here for JMPZ as well. He's actually going into a Hydralisk Den before getting his evolution chambers. So that's going to be a big upgrade advantage for Ghost Chant here, who's going to have 1-1 before the Evo chambers really even get going.
And
Does come in.
He
We'll
doesn't
have
go
to
the
back on out of there.
side surround. Yeah, he didn't do this around first, right? But he's still
Yeah, I
gonna-
think he... Oh my goodness, Ghost Chant juking and jiving a little bit there. Does make it away with a Hellion. But I mean, we see in this game, Ghost Chant has definitely prioritized. The Banshees are the highest micro harassment unit, I think, for Terran.
Yep.
So not going for that, he's still able to get damage with like Liberators, which are a little bit easier, and Hellions are a little bit easier, I'd say, than Banshees. But his macro at home is much stronger, so he's up in supply right now, which is also a consequence of bio. But still, I think if we're in the previous game, he's only at like 90 supply right now, or even if he's going.
Yep. Well, here's a
Probably
big
something he's
drop.
more comfortable with as well. I would imagine he plays bio more often than mech, so probably just more used to the transition out of the Hellion and everything like that into his play, his macro play. But
Well, here's
push
a
is coming
test,
out
man.
on both sides as
Yeah,
well.
this
Yeah,
is the F2 test right
multi-pronged.
here.
I do wonder, like, if Ghost Chant notices the fact that like his army is always all clumped. Like, does he know it's F2ing and so he's doing this
We'll have to
multi-prong?
ask
Because
him.
it's like, yeah, this is like pretty fast multi-prong. Like, you don't typically see the very first Marine push be with, you know, 2 different sets of units.
Oh, the mines are
That
all
said, though, here comes the
together.
Banelings!
Ooh!
Not bad. About an even trade, I'd say. But now there's not very many Banelings left, and this is 1-1 Stim Marines. No combat shields, I will say, just yet, but soon against 0-0 Ling Bane. That's pretty nice to have, and even dropping out here over at the third base. And the Liberator comes back in. I do always love it when Terran players reuse their units from earlier on in the game. That's very awesome to see. And another big mine hit does come out. Banelings chasing on to the Marines, though. But it's almost all out of Banes now. Now the drop in the top. 18 workers going down is so painful here for Ghost Chant. Unfortunately, not stemming those Marines there into that third base. That could be just completely dead at this point. Looks like he's just now looking at it. And oh my gosh, JMPZ is just falling apart. And this is it, right? I think Ghost Chant's definitely a lot cleaner macro-wise with bio. Probably what he's more used to playing. And it's paying off in spades here. Yeah, I mean, he's winning on all fronts. Kills the third base, going to go back into the main base with the drop. Going to have 2-2 against only +1 melee here soon. And of course, pro tip for the Zerg players out there is GG's called.
There's a revenge. The Ghost Chant.
Revenge.
So it's not, you know, it's not like before where it's just, oh, Hellions, you know, no big deal. It's 2 powerful attacks. If you don't attack, you know, defend on one side, you lose a base. So that's the difference. It's not just losing workers, right? So.
Yeah, it's very true. Very well done. Had a good. Yeah, I'll be curious to see if that was an intentional, like, because he saw a lot of clumping in the first game. It wasn't too bad splits initially, I think, against the very first thing, but then when Ghost Chant redropped into that third base, obviously was not on top of taking care of that. But as well as like, yeah, he wasn't on top of taking care of that, but he didn't exactly have any units to spare.
Yeah.
Which I think was just the initial Liberator dealing a lot of damage, Hellions dealing a lot of damage, maybe going for a couple too many workers or something like that as well. That's the super hard balance to find as a Zerg player, I think, is the super hard balance to find is what's, like, if I take damage, how many units should I be making, right? Like, if I lose this amount of workers, should I still go up to 76 workers before I start making units? Or should I only go up to 66 or something like that? It's hard to find that balance to where you then immediately die to the Terran push you over after taking some damage. So,
Yep.
who knows? Could have been something like that, but just very clean out of Ghost Chant. He did start to float a little bit while doing the big push, but too bad.
Yeah, I think he's a better bio player, at least with
It
that
definitely
mech
looked
style.
that way.
Yeah, with that mech
Yeah.
style, he was just. I mean, he was nicely controlling the maps, defending, etc. But
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like I said, the macro is just very clean going into that first push. Much cleaner game. There was a lot of resources being floated by Ghost Chant in game 1. Like, I think I remember when he did that whole thing where he accidentally got surrounded by the F2 from across the map from JMPZ. That early on, he had like 3,000 minerals and 1,000 gas, right? Which wasn't super far into the game, and so.
All right.
Which battle mechs obviously pretty. You have to be very active with battle mech because you can't just load up into some flying units and not have to worry about the Bane. to make sure you don't get surrounded at all times.
Well, this is it, guys. Final game.
You're watching FSL Season 6.
Yeah, and what a map they picked for it. I'm not sure. I don't think I've cast on this map in the FSL yet. Waterfall, it's not like a crazily designed map in terms of the base layout or anything, but this is a small map. Player gets 6 bases at most, and one of those is like a half base as far as minutes go. So definitely an aggressive map, which could favor Ghost Chant quite a bit with the Liberator Hellion stuff we've been seeing here.
All right,
Because
let's give
of that
them their
bio as well.
dues.
But anyway,
intros.
sorry, introductions. The pink Zerg player in the bottom left-hand side of the map, he is
JMPZ.
And in the top right-hand side, we got the yellow Terran player. He is
Ghost Chant.
All right, man. I'm pretty sure he's gonna go bio here and just pressure him.
Yeah, I feel like you don't look at what happened in the last 2 games and you go, yeah, I think Mech's the way in the third
Let
game.
me try a mech again. I can make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, Mech it happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think his bio definitely looks stronger. I like that he made the attempt, and I mean, really, it's not like he died because he went Mech. I think it was more just didn't find the right composition against it.
Yeah, I would say he
The
had an A
Broodlords.
until the final exam where he just didn't show up. So that's all. You know.
Yeah, so still very well done on the mech play. I think just a little bit stronger even on the bio play. And JMPZ just didn't have time to find his footing after the initial harass against the bio like he did against that mech. Which as well, I mean, there's that big question mark of if Ghost Chant doesn't get surrounded there, or if he even just dives on that third hatchery with the battle mech in game 1.
Oh yeah,
where does the game go
it
from
would have
there?
ended.
'Cause
Yeah,
instead of-
exactly. Exactly.
Right,
It
like
would've
he's
been even
down
worse.
an entire base. Instead, he loses a whole bunch of Cyclones and Hellions for nothing.
Yep.
Or, well, a few Zerglings, which is not what you're looking for, right? There's definitely still a lot of potential in his early game aggression. But because that happened, that allowed JMPZ to really stabilize, get up a whole lot of get map control back, where I think he gets comfortable.
Yes.
Goes looking for that drone. Quite be able to get it. Yeah, it's like a little bit of a misclick there, but I think as well it's when the drones stack up on the same mineral patch to mine, like you can't tell it which attack. Unfortunately. Okay, you just click on it and you hope that you happen to click on the one that you had already damaged. It doesn't always happen. It does maybe find a Ling. That's nice. I do like that JMPZ goes for the 6 Ling, making sure he has it to defend. Not too bad, not too bad.
Yep. 6 Ling is if the guy's a really good Reaper user.
Yep. Gotta be extra safe. Actually, that the Hellion production start up momentarily. Starport on the way as well.
SCV ready.
Command center upgrade complete.
But the creep spread's looking solid for JMPZ here as well. She not quite get that tumor. Ling speed nearly finishing up. And it goes. There's that fast Baneling nest, and I expect we'll probably see the lair.
Whoa, cancel.
Barb.
Roach.
Oh, interesting.
Oh man, he's
deciding
going Roach.
he's gonna. Yeah.
He's got 2 gases.
know about
he
the
might do a Roach
positioning, though.
Ravager all in. We'll see.
Yeah, I think the Liberator might just scout that Roach Warren depending on the whole time and when it goes across. But we'll see. This could be a very potent push because, I mean, obviously, this game Ghost Chant went straight in mine. Any tanks, safety, which is pretty dangerous.
Yeah.
And even going for a third base as well. So yeah, this could go very well for JMPZ here.
If he
However,
goes
a
Roach
Liberator
soon.
can be very strong on the defense here.
Oh man, that makes me chuckle when I see one Liberator and I'm going Ravagers, because one 3 bosses crushes it. So we'll see. I mean, that's a style that I don't know if JMPC knows. He's watched a lot of my streams, and I do that a lot because
Well, now
That's
he's
how-
just going back into drones. I mean, his roach horn is
Oh,
done, and he's
man.
not
Yeah.
making anything
Okay.
here.
Now he's making
Couple
some, but-
roaches. Those feel like safety roaches, though. Not I'm gonna go kill
Yeah.
you roaches.
And unfortunately, he's
And
still
now-
gonna take damage to this Liberator. Third game in a row.
Third verse, same as the first two, I guess.
Yeah.
5 drones go down, and an instant unsiege here. Even denying the creep spread here on the third base is very nice for Ghost Chant, and looking very solid here thus far. Great grenade as well.
Yeah,
Very nice
that's a
micro
great
Ghost
grenade.
Chant thus far. Oh, fortunately, units do aggro back in, but those Hellions should be able to
Liberator's
mostly make it out.
back.
Oh, but then it sneaks up directly on top. The Queen's not at home.
Oh man.
Another 4 drones do go down. It's 10 drones to 1 Liberator now. Only plenty of damage found for Ghost Chant thus far.
Yeah.
Yeah, Liberators can be so tough to deal with.
He
Just
didn't make
keep
the
moving.
adjustment in the first 2 games of the Liberator harass, right? Just always worked.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of expecting him to, put the spore down in a different spot this time around. Obviously, against Liberators, you don't want it right in the middle of the mineral patch, because that protects against everything. The Banshee, but if it's a Liberator, it kind of protects against nothing, because the Liberator sieges up from range. Looks like he's maybe looking at coming in, but I mean, it's just not enough roaches. There's just Marines out, Marauders coming out. It'll be kind of tough to do. Going all the way around now, but JMPZ actually on a very low worker count is going all in, I think, just as a
Yes.
reaction maybe to how much damage he took. But
But he's
oh, but now he's
adding
having on 2
these-
Evo chambers. Hard to say. It's hard to say what he's doing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can tell.
I think maybe trying to get some damage done because he's like, I made all these roaches, got to do something with them. Maybe I don't know, but
That pesky
it's
Liberator.
not.
16
Yeah.
kills on it, man.
Very nice indeed. Does clean it up, so that's nice. But
Ooh, we got the Ravagers. Okay, let's see this. He might get lucky with the Biles here. That's really his way to come back here.
yeah, it's true. And, here they come. Stem is done. +1/+1 on the way, and a stem in from behind as well. Excellent dodges on the Biles. The Medevac does get hit, but as long as it's only 2 Biles, it doesn't really matter too much. But fairly good trade out there. I mean, he
roaches,
might just get
though.
overwhelmed here because they're just gonna keep coming. And then, like I said, there's those Widow Mines, which JMPZ
one
does
more
not
on
really
that.
care about. Yeah, could get those mines. I mean, they're not cloaked now as well because the armory's not finished up.
Oh
so.
no, I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's a tough spot. 1-1 has finished though, and with
man.
the boys full, I mean, all you have to do is hold here. You're up in workers, so we'll see. Biles narrowly do not hit the SCVs. 16, 17 workers do fall, even enough the worker counts, but there are 3 command centers fully finished up. They're all orbital commands. That's lots of mules available. JMPZ is just going pedal to the metal. He's going to try and end
He
it
might
here.
as well. I think this is his best chance.
Yeah, I
to
think
win.
that's the only real option. Ghost Chant can just get out another like 2 or 3 rounds of bio. I think he can hold here, but it's going to be tough to do. Losing more and more SCVs. The mule mining should make up for that for the moment, but continuing to stem down, making lots of Marauders. He's got 4 barracks of production. That's a lot of bio coming out.
But he's sending him small groups at a time. I feel like he should group up at the top map instead of maintain this.
Yeah, maybe. It's hard to say. I mean, he's doing okay at the moment, and now he's starting to make
lot of
just pure
roaches.
Marine. You really need those Marauders to really pack in the damage. Yeah, this is such a
man.
hard fight to call.
He
But I
might
think
pull it off,
JMPZ is
dude.
doing it. He's up 40 supply, and I mean, I said it earlier. He was going straight into Widow Mines, not tanks. Just 1 or 2 tanks would have made all the difference here, I feel.
Yeah.
Still though, I mean, all the Ravagers are gone now. It's just Roaches left. They don't really have any upgrades. They have +1, so that's good. But it's +1/+1 on the bio.
Bio is upgraded, yep, indeed. You may need to pull the boys.
More
just to make
Marauders
sure he
coming out
cleans it.
now. Yeah, if he can clean this up, I think he's still okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does pull the boys, and I think he'll be able to clean up with that. I mean, a couple Marauders out now. It's just a trickle of Roaches. Yeah, I think Ghost Chant has held here. Oh, but there's even more Roaches and Ravagers coming out, but the Ravagers in front take a lot of damage. There are 5 medevacs now. That healing over time is just providing so much value. Now there's combat shields done as well.
Yep.
And every second that he gets is going to be so valuable here. 2 Liberators, well, as those siege up on that ramp, it's going to be very hard to pile them down.
Yeah. Oh, and Liberators. Yeah, exactly. And then he didn't even force the these command centers to lift up. He doesn't even see that there's a third one here.
Yep. A tough spot. Tough spot for JMPZ at this point. I mean, he's up 40 supply-ish, but that's less and less valuable now as the bio gets bigger and bigger. It's still a chance, but it's definitely a tough one. As I mean, he's up 20 workers, but he's starting to mine out of his main base as well. And Roach Ravager is expensive money. Roach Ravager does not grow on trees, is what my parents used to always tell me. But I thought that was kind of obvious. Now they are going to come into this third base. I'm not sure if this can be held. I mean, with the Liberators, it's like, yeah, you can bile them, but if you only have one Ravager, it's going to take you a little while.
Micro.
Okay, it does force him back up into the main base, so that's pretty nice. But now +2 attack once that finishes up is where things are really going to start to look ugly.
Yeah. And he didn't start his upgrades. Well, he had 1 +1.
Yeah, he's got +1 attack on the Roaches, which is decent. He's going into Hydralisk now, but flip side of things, now it's going to be tanks. It's going to be Liberators.
Tanks. Much needed tanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Tanks are going to be so helpful here.
Oh, look at that.
And, big old bio force. Big Biles hit himself more than they hit Ghost Chance forces, unfortunately. Is trying to bile down those Liberators. That one Liberator is kind of hidden by the health bar of the command center. Crouching Tiger. Such a big upgrade advantage. And those 2 Liberators, I mean, yeah, in theory, Ravagers beat Liberators, but if you don't actually kill them, they deal so much damage to Roaches and Ravagers. I think it's 3-shotting each, so a whole lot of value there. I mean, if we look at those Liberators.
Killer push.
Yep, coming across at the map now with the bio. I'm not sure if he can kill here.
Not just yet. He needs to group up with his tanks.
Yeah, get the tank sieged up. Maybe some Liberators moved in as well. At the same time, it feels more valuable to maybe just go for the 4th base. If you just keep JMPZ on a 3rd base for another couple minutes, no more bases beyond that.
When he scanned, it wasn't there yet. Oh, now he saw it somehow. Okay.
All right, but here comes the slow push, and it's going to be very, very hard to break this as JMPZ. We'll be able to bile down that Liberator potentially. Oh.
Oh, he misses.
Sort of. Whenever they're over the airspace like that, it's kind of hard to hit them, actually. It's surprisingly difficult. And, yeah, now Ghost Chance onto the actual base, being able to damage it as well. A dive on top from JMPZ, but the tank fire continues shelling in, and the +2/+1 bio against only +1 Roach Ravager Hydralisk. And I think we're going to see Ghost Chant push through to a victory. It's got to feel good after that first game as well. Coming back 1-2, it looks like. All right, back from an 0-1 deficit to a 2-1 victory. Yeah, almost. I mean, that was such a... that's actually the second series where we had one of those games where it was just like... the push just went on for so long. You couldn't really tell who's going to win for minutes at a time. Reminiscent of that first 2v2 game with the Adept Ling push where it just continued happening for like 3 minutes straight. But at this point, Ghost Chance pretty much secured the victory, all but really. He's got tanks still, he's got Liberators, he's got very strong bio. And even once that +2/+1 finishes up for the Roach Ravager.
You can win with just Liberators at this point. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's true. There's not much that shoots up here. But JMPZ, I think, still got to be pretty happy with the result.
Yeah,
Does manage to get that Game 1 win.
He almost 1-2-1. Instead, he's going to be on a 1-2, just as our prediction was.
Yeah. I mean, dang, are we good? This whole predicting thing. Did manage to guess that one right. But yeah, definitely a solid result. Nothing to be
even Ghost Chant F2.
ashamed of.
You see that? That's the win F2.
That's true, yeah. GG is called.
What an exciting set of games.
Yep, let me drag our players up. All right, we have the winner, Ghost Chant, joining us here, as well as JMPZ coming in narrowly behind with the 1-2 score there. JMPZ, you get your first win on the board. That's got to feel pretty good. How are you feeling about that?
Felt good until I threw game 3, so I guess
You almost had it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a little
game
frustrated
3.
about throwing game 3. I'm gonna have to watch the replay and figure out exactly where I threw, but I know I threw. I was definitely ahead, especially when I realized he didn't have any tanks. When the attack came through, I was like, alright, he either has tanks and I lose, or he has no tanks and I win. But it ended up going, he had no tanks and I still lost. So somewhere in there I made a mistake. But it was a good series.
Game 3 was an excellent series. Game 3, very, very close. I think part of it was he was able to get Marauders out in time, as well as he had 1-1 for that push the whole time, which is obviously a pretty big boon. Yeah,
I think I only had
setup.
+1 attack. I thought I hit the +1 armor, but I don't think I had enough money when I hit it, so I think I only had +1 attack. I only realized it later when I went to upgrade 2-2, and I realized I was still on no armor.
A fate that has befallen every one of us, I believe, at one point or another. But definitely a good try. And getting your first win on the board. Maybe next time it'll be your first series win. Game 1, though, I mean, were you starting to get pretty worried there towards the end? We were worried you might start to peter out a little bit, like you're teetering on the edge of like not having enough money to keep going. But
Yeah,
then the Broodlord switch.
He's really good at attacking opposite bases. Me, I'm a terrible F2 player, so I started to learn how to split off a little bit more. But he just, if I didn't have that gold base up for as long as I did, I think I'd lose that game. But he was killing every other base, killing every other worker, but he just kept forgetting about the gold. And it seemed like I was like, I don't mind it. That's a lot of money. So I was very close to running out a few times there. I actually almost GG'd at one point. If he would have pushed across the map, I think at one time, I would have probably left. But it was, and if you look at my match history, I don't think I've gone Broodlords in probably the last 250 games. I just got tired of trying to control the lurkers. I said, okay, let me just see if this works, and it worked.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, the end game swap into the Broodlords did manage to pull it out, which was very well done indeed. And then game 2, just a very smooth push out of Ghost Chant there, off the back of some pretty solid aggression with the Liberator Hellion, and managed to push through there. Like you said, it did seem like you're a little bit of an F2, so obviously the initial 4 medevacs on each side of the map, obviously, I think just was pretty hard to deal with. And then from there, the push, Widowmine's getting big hits on the Banelings and just not quite having enough. So fairly straightforward on that game. And then game 3, I mean, narrow margins there on that Roach push, but you managed to pull it out there. It does our Victor, who we'll move over to now, Ghost Chant. Game 1, like we said, it looked like you were almost there to just pushing him over the edge of running out of money, but then the Broodlord Corruptor switch, the plague, I think, of many a mech player, did manage to take you out there. Were you caught a little bit off guard by just the sheer number of Broodlords and Corruptors coming across? As your mic is muted, by the way. Oh, Ghost Chant, are you there?
Yeah, sorry. I had to find the Discord window.
Perfect. Okay. So yes, did it kind of just catch you off guard? I mean, I was surprised he managed to afford that much in terms of Broodlords and Corruptors. Was it just kind of the sheer numbers that caught you off?
A little bit, but someone also was like, someone hit me after the game. It was like Ghost, and I was like, how are you gonna expect me to remember Ghost when I didn't remember my armory or my eBay? Come on now.
Yeah, that's fair. And Ghosts, I mean, it's, a little bit easier said than done against Broodlords with the Broodlings and everything in there as well, and the tank fire. But and then I think the most painful part of game 1 there that really kind of enabled him to get back into the game after the successful early aggression was he went in with your battle mech onto his third base and almost sniped it, and then got I mean, it was almost got that base, but with the not quite getting the base and you lose all the Hellions and Cyclones, it kind of reset the game back, and I think put you on the back foot a little bit. Nearly came back from it, but then game 2, it just felt really smooth. I think we were saying game 1 and game 2, just like the transition into what you're eventually going for from the initial Hellion Liberator setup and everything felt a lot smoother. Are you typically a bio player in ZVT?
Yes, and game 2 was not smooth at all. That was kind of what I was talking about with like it was not smooth. I should have had a 6th and 7th barracks and a 2nd factory up. I should have had drilling claws well before that game ended. There was so much that I'm just like, there's stuff I normally do that just didn't happen, and I was like, I don't know how to fix it because it's stuff I was doing, and I don't know why I can't do it now. Like, it's one of those. It's not like I'm trying to work up to it. It's like I've gone backwards, and I don't know why. But,
right, that makes sense. It felt like at least getting up to the initial like 5 barracks, 3 base setup, and then that initial push with the 2 medevacs on each side. I think that was hit pretty well timed, like very solid. And then
yeah,
obviously just the multi-prong doing quite well.
Yeah, it just kind of fell apart after that. But yeah, up to that point, that was kind of the plan. But yeah,
it did definitely kind of feel like it's if you hadn't won there wasn't enough going on back behind it, maybe. But you did just wind up winning, so. Game 2 is fairly solid. Game 3, I think the Roaches really kind of caught you off guard a bit there. Narrowly held there. It felt like he was almost about to push through. Were you pretty worried there?
Sort of. I was a little worried, but it hit a little later than I was expecting. Like, that's why you notice that was the only game where I sent an early scout. Or early for me. Usually I scout just to see the hatchery, like. You can see if the hatchery went down, and you'll go, oh, there are lings coming across the map, or, oh, it's a normal game. I went a little early to see if there was some sort of roach shenanigans coming, and it looked pretty normal, and I forgot about it. And then the roaches showed up, and I was like, oh, hello.
Yeah.
I thought you scouted it with your Liberator as well. Like, when your Liberator came in, I'm like, well, he knows I'm going roaches, so he's going to have tanks.
So I popped over. What would have been more of a tell was I saw no drones on your 3rd, but I dismissed it. It was something I noted, and I was like, this usually is a precursor for some sort of attack, because there was nothing on the 3rd when the Hellions dove in, and it slipped my mind. I don't know, but yeah. I honestly did not notice anything in the main, but the 3rd base is. My brain clicked over, but I still didn't do anything about it. You know, I was like, oh, there's no drones. He's going to come try to kill me.
Right, yeah. Well, and barely holding. That was one of the closest like roach all in attacks I've ever seen, as far as like barely not making it through. So well done there, and then obviously managed to clean up the 3 base setup. So pretty well done overall. We were talking a little bit about it's good to see more Zerg players making it into the Code S, because there's only been like 1 or 2 at any point. So getting to see easy and things like that. Was always nice, but very well played overall. KJ, did you have any final comments or questions for our players?
Yeah, we noticed all 3 games JMPZ that the Liberator, that first Liberator, always was successful. Is that did you not adjust? You just forgot, like kind of one of those things.
I thought I put a queen up there at one time to stand in the spot, but I thought I alted it off the hotkey of the queens, but apparently I didn't. I was gonna leave 1 extra queen in the main to deal with it, because I figured if he did it 2 games, he might do it the 3rd, and he did. And unfortunately, as soon as I heard the drones are under attack, I'm like, sweet, I got an extra queen, and then I see I only had the 1. I was like, oh, never mind. So,
got it.
Just a little mistake on my part.
Got it. So you did want to adjust on game 3, but in games 1, you saw it. In game 2, you kind of forgot about it, or?
I didn't assume it was coming again in game 2. I assumed he would change it up, but
yeah. Well, you were making a spore though, so I think it's just an earlier spore would do wonders, and so it's very minor. I was just curious. So cool.
I think didn't I have a spore down every time they hit?
First 2 games, yeah.
Okay, the first 2 I didn't have down.
The big thing, I guess, my top
just
level
they're not in the right
coming
spot.
in here. Yeah, against Liberators, they can't be in the middle of the. You had like the Banshee spores.
You gotta try to zone it out from getting to the mineral line in the first place.
Yeah, it's got to be on like the outside edge against Liberators. But
yeah, I should do a better
if you don't
job
know
with
if it's
that
going to be
Overlord.
Banshee or Liberator, then it's kind of hard to know which place to put it. It's probably safer to put it in the middle.
And most of the time they fly them around the outsides. If I just take the time and put 1 Overlord on each corner, side, or whatever, I should see it come in earlier and be able to adjust better. because the only time I saw it, I think, on my screen was every time it was in my base, and having Overlords, I should be able to see those coming a little easier.
Yeah. Well, you.
So I do try to I try to tap something with the Hellions right before I bring the Liberator in. Like I make a point to be okay. The Liberator's getting close. I will run up, tap a Queen, take out a creep tumor, dive yeah.
It's a good idea. It's a good move.
Yep, definitely.
It was a fun series for sure. Every game besides game 2, I felt like game 1 was extremely close, and game 3, so I couldn't ask for a more fun series. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, huge improvement for you, JMPZ. I think you already know the stuff you need to work on, and probably on the next series is the one you're looking to take it away, right? So,
yep. Baby
good
steps.
luck the rest of the season. And then Ghost Chant, we predicted that you would win 2-1, so it was exactly as we predicted, right?
Nice,
but
nice.
it was so close. We really, both of us thought that Roach Ravager push was gonna win. We're like, oh wow, he's gonna do it. JMPZ with a big upset. And then you did the SCV pull, and you were able to just hold him back. Just close. It was so
I was
close.
really trying not to pull the SCVs off the mineral line in the main. I probably honestly could have done that a little earlier. And also, honestly, Lings behind that probably would have tipped me over the edge.
Yes.
That would have been what tipped me over.
Yep, because the Roaches were too slow, and then just a Ling follow-up with more Ravagers. Man, I've won many games like that, by the way. So I love.
Yeah, it
I
also
love
helps
seeing
get
that
this around so you can land the bios too, because he dodged basically every bio. So.
But amazingly close. We both thought it was over until it wasn't. So, anyway, nice job, guys. Good seeing you guys play again. So we'll see you guys later.
Peace.
So ET, recap. What do we see tonight? What did you think?
Yeah, so we started off with a relatively dominant performance from the Archaic versus Little Reaper. 2-0 victory there. A little close in game 1. Game 2, I think he had it pretty much on lock. And game 1 obviously did have the planned build that kind of happened to go very well. Proxy Void, that Cyclone all in. Series number 2 was our 2v2 with Polaris and Cyan Kitty. Close games, especially in that early game with some strong aggression coming out from Cyan Kitty, but Polaris narrowly hanging on both times there. So very well done by them. And we just closed it out with a 2-1 by Ghost Chant over JMPZ. Awesome games. We saw Mech, we saw Bio, we saw Roach all in. So we saw just about all the different colors of ZVT, really, all the way into the very late game with Corruptors and Broodlords. Exciting stuff. Next week, we'll have another 2v2 between Tortoise, Air, and Lip, followed by the Code A match of Little Reaper again versus Noob Lord. And then JMPZ will also be making a return against Sir Maligant.
Oh, that'll be cool. That's a tough one, man. Maligant loves playing Zergs.
Yep, absolutely. And it looks like Eclipse is going to be Stu Blue and DLS Mazel. It's going to be Stu Blue and DLS Mazel versus Hyperturtle and War Bunnies. War Bunnies obviously no stranger to the 2v2s.
Yeah.
So a tough team to try and overcome there for Eclipse. See how they do.
Yeah, we'll see how that works. But thanks for casting again tonight, ET. And see you guys on Wednesday.
Always glad to be here.
Later, guys.
Sarah, what have you done?
Kerrigan, the die is cast. This is the last day. Your swarm darkens the sky of any planet.
Forget Minsk. Forget all of it. When we are done here, I will return to my people and accept their judgment.
Command, we've found Kerrigan. She's holed up in a Zerg base.
I made my peace long